Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Well, not much to talk about in the world of the New York Knicks because obviously there's no season. Season is no longer here, ladies and gentlemen. So instead, we got to find some things to discuss, find some things to talk about, which is okay with me, which is cool with me. So, as we start off this era of, I don't want to say era, if we start off these next 30 days without Knicks basketball, we're going to start off just looking at the season, talking about the season up to this point. And then we'll start talking about some other stuff. All right. Well, we'll talk about draft picks, not tonight, but we're going to get into it. We're going to do a whole big thing on draft coverage, and I'll break down some videos of players, and we're actually going to do something called Classic Knicks, and you've probably already seen the notification. We're going to do that Wednesday night, where we're going to look at some old Knicks games. So we're going to find a way to pass the time from now until the Knicks start to play again, if they start to play again this season. If not, then we'll do what we do, ladies and gentlemen. So, hey, I got my man Isaiah in the chat, and we're going to break down this season from the beginning to the end. All right, because it's been one of the craziest and wildest seasons for the New York Knicks that I've seen in a very long time, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a wild one. So let's get with it.
That's the thing.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell if you haven't been here before and you're not subscribed or you haven't rang that notification bell. Make sure you ring it for me. All right, ring that bell so you'll be notified anytime I go live, drop a video, or post in my community section. Now, anything that I do, you'll be notified. So make sure you subscribe right now and ring that bell. I got Isaiah here in the chat. And anybody that wants to join us is whereby.com/NBK. Anybody that wants to chime in on anything that we're talking about, feel free to chime in. 516-405-2246. And let's get this thing popping, man. Let's see what Isaiah is doing. Listen, Isaiah called in. Well, he didn't call in. He videoed in. And this guy's sitting in the pitch black dark. I'm like, what are you doing? And he starts talking to me. Everything lights off. Only Isaiah does stuff like that, man. Only Isaiah does stuff like that. Anyway, let's get to my man Isaiah. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
No, man, Sam. I gotta stop coming here, man. You put my business out here, man. First of all, I was not in the dark. The TV.
Okay.
I paused the TV.
You're lying. Now you're lying to the people. Now you are lying to the people.
Listen. I'm gonna start telling you my business thing.
You didn't have to tell me anything. You came on to my video platform in the dark.
Married, I got kids on the way, man. You just telling my business to everybody, man. This is ridiculous with you, man.
All I'm saying is, I didn't have to do anything. You came on to my video platform in the dark.
Oh, that was my okay.
So, you didn't have to tell me anything. It was already like that. Anyway.
Oh, see, man, you have a trusting face, Sim, and this is what you do. You have a trusting face. You like to talk to people, and then, you just tell them, it's all right.
All right. Anyway, let's talk about this season, man. Let's talk about this season, because this season has been wild from the beginning, right?
Sim, I'm going to just say this. The 30 for 30 is going to be crazy. Like, people are really going to look back at this season and be like, yo, this was the start of the new decade for the NBA. Sim, this has been the craziest season in NBA history.
It has to have been.
Maybe you older than me. You've been alive, so maybe you've seen something, I don't know. But to me, hands down, this has been the craziest season ever in sports, personally.
Well, it's been a wild one. It's been super wild. And especially for the Knicks. It's been really crazy for the Knicks. All the way from Knicks for clicks to Knicks for clicks. Let's put it like that. And the Knicks
Sim,
gave.
you're talking about you're talking about our season. Our season. Let me think. Our season started in July. The minute we found out, we all got that notification that Kevin was going to Brooklyn. That's when our season became the craziest season. Because you know what, Sim? And here's the funniest thing about how it all started. No one talked about Brooklyn getting Kevin Durant. That wasn't the story.
Uh-huh.
The story was, ha, 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 the Knicks didn't get Kevin Durant. Nobody even cared about when he didn't go to Brooklyn. It was about, ha, 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 the Knicks thought they were getting Kevin Durant. Who would have thought that? And which was corny because, leading up to that, probably since that year? Because I remember I remember it all started when the Warriors played the Knicks. It was early in the season too. It was like the first month. The Knicks played the Warriors, and then you heard the little rumors like, "Oh, I hear Kevin Durant wants to go to the Knicks." Mind you, people can disagree with this or not. This is my personal belief. The Knicks never said anything about Kevin Durant. Now, where the Knicks were wrong is they were initiating. They were kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They were kind of making it seem like they were getting Kevin Durant.
Yeah, they were kind of teasing a little bit, right? They were teasing a little bit.
That's where they were wrong at. They were wrong because this was Steve Mills when James Dolan went on the was it the Michael K show, I think, or whatever that old dude is? I don't know the old dude. He's like a New York fan. He's like a New York sports talker radio guy. He went on that show, and then he was basically saying we're going to get free agents, which that came from Steve Mills. So to me, that was the only thing Knicks did wrong in that situation was they pretty much tried to say they were getting Kevin Durant, but then again, also the media was hyping it up, and you have media. So I'm watching this every day. I'm watching Undisputed and First Take. You literally had Stephen A, Skip Bayless, all these guys pretty much say, from what their sources, Kevin Durant's going to the Knicks. You had people that quote unquote know Kevin Durant that told him, "I'm going to the Knicks." And then when it didn't happen, again, this is how no one cares about the Nets, is that it was never about Kevin Durant going to the Nets. It was about him not going to the Knicks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that started off the crazy season. Then
it started. It definitely
actually,
did.
I'm lying to you.
Well, I mean, but
I'm lying to you. It didn't start. It didn't start until this is how this has been a crazy season. It didn't start until when the Knicks didn't get Zion.
Well,
that was
there you
another
go.
thing.
There you go. So it starts when the Knicks didn't get Zion, right? They didn't get Zion, and they got RJ. So it started there. But I think it was kind of cool there because I think people expected that the Knicks could, were going to pick somewhere in the top
that was
three.
The lottery. That was the lottery. So people can say, I mean, it was even crazy when people were kind of, the Knicks didn't get Zion. But I'm like, bro, it's a lottery, right? It's not the NFL. It's not hockey. I think the NBA is the only team that does a lottery draft.
Yeah.
So people laughing about the Knicks about that. I'm like, man, listen, we still top three. We had RJ Barrett, so I was cool.
Yeah. And so I mean the summer. This is a tweet from ESPN. Okay, that talks about the summer. This was July 13th, 2019. A tweet from the NBA. All right. It says, 1 month ago, the Raptors won their first NBA title. Since then, this was July 13th, 2019. Anthony Davis was traded to the Lakers. Zion Williamson drafted number 1 to the New Orleans Pelicans. And, of course, RJ Barrett. John Morant, number 2 to the Memphis Grizzlies. RJ Barrett, number 3 to the Knicks. Giannis wins the MVP. KD signs with the Nets. KD and Kyrie signs with the Nets. And there you go. There's the whole conversation about, KD and Kyrie signing with the Nets, not the Knicks. Okay? Then you got, and we're going to talk about this, an earthquake during an NBA summer game. We're going to go into that.
Oh, yeah,
then
did happen.
Right. You got Kawhi, Paul George to the Clippers, Russell Westbrook to the Rockets, okay? So that was the summer right there. That's the summer. That is the summer. And, of course, for the New York Knicks, our summer kind of kicks off, obviously, with RJ being drafted to the Knicks. And what's up, Guillermo? Guillermo's live in the chat with us, right?
Yo, what's up?
Obviously, RJ being drafted to the Knicks. But then you have the earthquake, right? Which was just wild business in and of itself. You know what I'm saying? An earthquake. Can you imagine, and folks, I'm talking to everybody out here, can you imagine being in the middle of a basketball game and being in the middle of an earthquake, in the middle of a basketball game? Can you imagine that? I can't imagine that. What about you guys? Can you imagine that? Being in the middle of an
Was that the Pelicans
earthquake?
game, Sim?
That was the Knicks versus the Pelicans. And
was
one more
wondering,
reminder,
summer,
ladies and
right?
gentlemen,
Summer
make sure
league?
you subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell.
Wait, was that the one that was televised, Sim? That's the one that was televised, right?
It was televised. It was definitely
I remember that.
televised.
Wow. That was crazy.
It was definitely televised. And you guys can't see it, but right now, you know, we're looking at it right now, right? It was 80-74. The Knicks were down to the Pelicans. There was 7 minutes and 53 seconds left in the game. And was this the first Summer League game? I don't remember. Maybe this was the first Summer League game, right? But what is showing right now is showing.
Was that the game?
I don't know if it was the first one or not. But it was 80-74, 7 minutes and 53 seconds left. And you see now they're showing, you know, the speakers swaying back and forth. Right, this was in Las Vegas at the MGM Resort Summer League in Las Vegas. The speakers swaying back and forth, right, because of the earthquake. You know, you got fans, you know, just like tripping out, taking video, taking pictures, all because there was an earthquake. And now you see the camera rocking a little bit. I don't know if it was more earthquake at that point, you know, aftershocks or whatever happening at that point. But that game was suspended, right? And this is the way that the NBA season started off for the New York Knicks, right? Already, right off the bat, right off the tip, you knew something was going to be up with this season. You know what I'm saying? A crazy season. What's your take on it, Guillermo? Bad luck? Was it a sign of things to come for this season? Because there's so much more to talk about with this season for the Knicks.
I mean, I wouldn't really look into this because it wasn't like the Knicks had a situation where, damn, yo, last year we're about to get in the playoffs. This is our year right here. You know, if that was the case, and I would have been like, as soon as that earthquake happened, I was like, I know this season ain't gonna be about worth nothing. But it's like the Knicks we're already at the bottom. So it's like, what, you're gonna give us an earthquake? Like, what was that? What was that? I mean, we could only go up from what we had last year. So, I mean, you know, the earthquake thing, I mean, is weird. I don't know if you remember when you may have been in DC. Well, I keep thinking that you're in New York, but I remember maybe 5-6 years ago there was like a slight earthquake in New York, and I felt it in my building. I was on like the 40-something floor. I ran, so I can't even. I didn't follow no protocol, none of that crap. I said, yeah, y'all can get your lines organized, whatever. I just took the elevator, just left, and it was a small little. It wasn't anything serious, but I've never been in an earthquake, so that right there, that was crazy. But
I was in one. I was in one, and it was the craziest thing. It was probably around the same time that you felt yours, right? You know, we felt it was here in Maryland, and
okay.
And I was sitting in, you know, I was in a meeting and we were sitting in a room, and all of a sudden, you know, I heard what sounded like trucks riding by. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was trucks riding by. You know how you get, you know, when trucks ride by and they, you know, right? That's what it sounded like. But then all of a sudden I looked up at the ceiling and the walls were swaying back and forth. I was like, hold up, what is this? So we all just sat there for about 2 minutes and watched the walls sway back and forth. And then obviously it came out and said that there was an earthquake and blah, 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 blah. Right. So what we're talking about right now, ladies and gentlemen, is not the one that not the one that happened in October or in July with the Knicks, but we're just going back and talking about our experiences with an earthquake. But it was crazy, man. When I was in it, it was just weird. It was just one of the craziest phenomenons that I've ever experienced. Crazy. And I don't want to experience it again. You know what I mean? Because, you automatically like, yo, what's about to happen here? Automatically. But it was
crazy.
Crazy.
For me, Sim, I got so many spankings and beatings in my life. So I already have a fast twitch. When I heard, I don't play around with no type of danger. I got my spidey senses. I am out. Y'all can sit there and contemplate how long. When I heard that, because for me, was I on a 50? I can't remember which floor I was on my old job, but it did the whole and it was like and then it kind of calmed down. I jetted. I said, hell no, I'm not messing with that. So when I saw this happening and what's saying, I could only imagine. But then you see people just standing around. It's like. And it was on the West Coast with these basketball players. So it's crazy on the West Coast because of tectonic plates or whatever. Well, I guess it's tectonic plates. I'm assuming it's on the East Coast.
It's tectonic plate, bro.
Yeah, but
I don't know how to pronounce it.
But anyway, it was.
I don't know what just happened there. Sound like an earthquake just happened in your microphone, man.
Oh, it did? I got the thing. I don't know. Just go to the next topic, man.
Was. But obviously with that game, though, it's clear now. It's clear now. Obviously with that game, though, they had to cancel the game. I don't think the Knicks and the Pelicans ever made the game up. They just canceled the game. Looking at it again now, the players, were just, kind of, it was just a phenomenon, and everybody was piling out of the arena, and it was just something different, man. It was crazy. It was crazy. But obviously, that's not all that happened with the Knicks that season. Well, this season, right? That's just the first thing. The Knicks had that's just the first thing. All right. So then, from there, you going, you had the summer league and you go into the rest of the summer and you were looking at workout videos and all this stuff. And finally, the season begins. Right? Finally, the season begins. And right at the beginning of the season, as soon as the season begins, I don't know how many games into the season, but just a few games into the season, we find out that there's death in the families of Reggie Bullock and Dennis Smith Jr. October 29th, right? This is Steve Mills put this out, the former president of the New York Knicks, Steve Mills. That on behalf of the Knicks president, Steve Mills, our Knicks family is deeply saddened by the sudden passing of Reggie Bullock and Dennis Smith Jr.'s close family members. At times like this, we are reminded that life is bigger than basketball. Our thoughts are with them and their families. Now, I remember when I first looked at the tweet, and my heart jumped because I was like, when I first looked at the tweet, I said, hold up. I thought that they were saying that Dennis Smith Jr. and Reggie Bullock passed away. Seriously. Just, because of the way, just simply the way that it was, the way that it was worded. Right? Because right from the beginning it says, and I'll show it again. Right from the beginning it says, on behalf of Knicks president Steve Mills, our Knicks family is deeply saddened by the sudden passing of Reggie Bullock and Dennis Smith Jr. Right? And so right off the bat, right there, it sounded like, it just seemed like, they were talking about then. So you had to really read it closely to see that it said Dennis Smith Jr.'s close family members. At times like this, we are reminded that life is bigger than basketball. Our thoughts are with them and their families. All right, so that was that, right? I read it and I was like, okay. And then I got it. Maybe the wording was a little bit bad, but and it could have been better. But right off the bat, man, you got Dennis Smith Jr. and Reggie Bullock out. Well, Reggie Bullock was already out, and and then Dennis Smith Jr. is out. And Dennis Smith Jr., of course, was one of the guys that we expected to be, someone that might help change things around if it was going to change around, right? We had some high expectations for we had high expectations for Dennis Smith Jr. and up until that point, he really wasn't playing well. And if you remember, as a matter of fact, we were at the Garden together. Was it the night before? Or 2 nights before? Isaiah, you were there, right? We were at the Garden together when Frank Ntilikina was not. I mean, Dennis Smith Jr. He was starting. He wasn't playing well.
Oh yeah,
and then the crowd was chanting,
we want Frank.
We want Frank. We want Frank. Right, and everybody was chanting, we want Frank. We want Frank. And it really wasn't Dennis Smith Jr.'s fault. It really was Fizdale's fault because Dennis Smith Jr. was not playing well. Should have pulled him out the game. He kept him in there. And then we find out the next day that, his stepmother passed away.
Hey, Sim, can I say something?
Yeah. Keep it on topic, though. Keep it on topic. We don't want to lose topic.
It's going to be on topic. Yo, Gamble, you see this, right? Gamble, let me say this real quick. Because he does this to set you up to try to talk off topic or keep on topic. I was going to keep on topic.
Okay,
what I was saying was...
And now he won't?
No, I'm not. No, I'm playing. What happened with what pissed me off, Sim, with a lot of people after we found out Dennis Smith Jr. mother died or stepmother died, when people try to do that, man, look at Knicks fans, they're so toxic. How do you boo somebody whose mother died? I was like, whoa, hold up. Nobody knew.
No one knew.
No one knew his stepmother died. Let's get that straight and forward.
Right.
And it was pissing me off that people were trying to do the LOL Knicks, that fans are toxic. You boo somebody, the mother, because no, we booed him because he sucked and he wasn't playing good. And that really rubbed me the wrong way with people because people were really trying to say that Knicks fans were booing because his mother died or booing because he was playing. No, we booed him because he played like crap.
And the thing about it, when people, I'm sorry, just to add to that point, when people there's certain people, right? The Brett Favre's, there's certain people that the game can take their mind off of, the tragedy, right? And they can play at a higher level, right? When Brett Favre's father died, he threw 5 touchdowns, he had some ridiculous
one of the craziest games ever.
And a guy like DSJ, let's be honest, this guy has had a tough time in the NBA, right? From the Mavericks, to 2 torn ACLs. So, he's probably thinking in his head, the only thing he knows is basketball, even if it's not going so well for him. So he's not going to not deny not playing, right? He's still trying to fight for a position. He's probably like, damn, I just need to take my mind off this. I'm hurting right now. And so all that to me, it was up to Fizdale. And it's like, when you find out, it, like you said, it makes you even more mad because it's like, is Fizdale perceptive? Like, dude, bro, it wasn't like this dude is Jordan. And, he's producing at a high level. He has, ice water in his veins. It's like, this kid has been, and you shoot down his confidence even more by, it's like, thank God we got rid of Fizdale because that was just a terrible decision that night.
Oh, God.
And that was a Celtics game, right?
Celtics game, yeah. I think that was the Celtics game, yeah. Because the Knicks were up big. The Knicks were up, right? And then they lost it. Then they lost it in the second half, I believe.
And I remember they was killing us with that pick and roll, the pick and roll with shooting with Kemba, and we just kept saying, "Yo, Frank would have been in there. He would have did a better job."
Right.
With Charlotte, that one game Frank had with Charlotte, he was harassing Kemba. That was a game we won, and it was like, you know what I mean? So it's just a terrible, not a good night.
You know what, Sim, and I was going to even go before that, Sim. That what really struck me as okay, that's odd. Was when the first game of the season, when you have, this idiot Fizdale that doesn't play, you don't play Alonzo Trier the preseason. And we talked about it during the summer. I remember that. What's going on with Alonzo Trier? And then you start him the first game of the season and you have 3 point guards on the bench. I mean, there's no better way to transition to David Fizdale. Being an idiot and getting himself fired. He's an idiot. I'm still baffled by the fact that Trier didn't play preseason. and then you start him against the Spurs, the first game of the season. Like, what were you trying to? You were trying to outsmart Pop? Like, what were you trying to do?
I get it, man. I know.
Like,
yeah, and then you know, I don't want to forget about Reggie Bullock in the conversation. Obviously, Reggie Bullock wasn't playing, but really felt bad for Reggie Bullock because just a few years earlier, he lost another sister to a shooting in Baltimore.
Yeah, man.
Right,
I know what Reggie Miller's sister. I think both his sisters were
Reggie Bullock.
Bullock.
Yeah, Reggie Bullock. I think both his sisters were part of the LBG community and stuff.
Right. Right.
And I think those were hate crimes, I presume. Because I know both his sisters transitioned, and I think they both got murdered. So
yeah,
I don't think I'm not sure if it was hate crimes though.
I don't know.
Living in Baltimore, I mean, look, you live in Baltimore in certain part,
Well, I know his first sister that passed away. I believe she was transgender. And she was shot and killed. Huh?
Both of them were.
Both of them were? Okay. And that's what I guess it made him become, an LBGQT advocate. From that. But that's tough, man. That's really tough.
And to give it, I mean, I know he's kind of tailed off in the past, whatever games, but he came on hot when he was finally healthy.
Yeah, he did.
So I give it to him, man. Like, consummate professional. I'm not saying that you come back, everybody should play like that after tragedy. Obviously, take time, whatever. But I got to give it to him, man. The kid, not kid, but the dude, he played his butt off. I mean, look, I don't think we still have the proper system and proper whatever to get him the spots. You know what I mean? But he came out hot, and we were all talking about, hey, do we re-sign this guy for next year and all this other stuff? So
is he a 1 year or a 2 year?
They turned it 1 year, right?
I think it's 2 year. I think it was 2 year.
I thought it was 2 years. They turned it 1 year because of the back thing.
No, it was more money. It was like he was going to get like $8 to $10 million per year, and then they took it down. Okay. He's only making $4 million a year. So I think it is 2 years.
Oh, that's not bad. I mean, I would definitely keep Reggie. Once we get rid of Peyton and get a real point guard, we can definitely. I think Reggie would fit really well with the Knicks team. And actually, if we learn to actually do double screens and stuff like that, we can get Reggie better shots. Yeah. Personally, that's my opinion.
So from here, the Knicks season can, it started spiraling down right from the beginning, right? There we go. Right off top. Like you mentioned, Fizdale had the crazy. I didn't mind trying the whole Alonzo Trainer, RJ Barrett thing. If you're going to do it, you should have tried it in the preseason first, right? You should have did it for a game or two and see if you liked it. But it was never something that he went to, at least to start a game, right? So you talked about that. You had Dennis Smith Jr. right from the beginning, out for a little while. Still, Frank couldn't get off the bench. Frank still didn't get off the bench. Craziness. Frank still didn't get off the bench. The Knicks getting blown out, right? They're getting smacked.
Point guards are killing us, by the way. Point guards were killing us.
Yep.
Yeah, point guards are killing us. Point guards are killing us, Sim. We were talking about this. I mean, the Dame Lillard 30 points in the first half type games, and
Kyrie.
That Brooklyn game. Oh my lord!
You had RJ Barrett guarding Kyrie Irving. I love RJ, but what? This.
And the funny thing is that Kyrie Irving that game, all the ways that he was getting the ball, over dribbling or getting baskets, over dribbling, he took Atkinson at the time when he was hired runs a high pick and roll, spread out to perimeter type of guys. It's like your last resort. If you can't get the shot, get the layup, get the advantage to maybe a big man if they overcommit. That's everybody touches the ball, right? And Kyrie Irving legitimately played into our hands. Now, yes, the Knicks had that blowout win where we beat them. They had that record number of non-twos or whatever, or like lack of twos or whatever. But that game, that is a patented Frank Ntilikina game where he comes in, shuts you down, and we win by, say, 15 because literally a guy like Kyrie Irving, and remember, they're still learning, right? That was still relatively new setup with the Nets. That was perfect for Frank to come and disrupt the head of their scoring and basically leave him in the win. And leave him. We've seen Frank do that before. And Fizdale, and this is what gets me mad. It's like, is that, we'll get to it later, but is that basically is that the front office saying not to play Frank? Like, what is that? Because in that situation with a guy who's an ISO scorer, Fizdale, you're supposed to be a basketball guy. You've been around ISO scores. You've been around Dwayne Wade. You've been around LeBron James's. Not saying they're ISO scores, but you've been around the NBA and you don't know how to manage a team against literally a give me in terms of what we should be doing. Make Kyrie Irving beat you, and it's like, I don't know, asinine.
Well,
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead, Sam.
Up to this point, we're 10 games deep into the season. The Knicks are woefully underachieving, I guess. Right? I guess. 10 games into the season, right? Woefully underperforming. All right. So we have a hijacking to try to get the season on track. We get a hijacking. Steve Mills and Scott Perry hijack the press conference.
Was that 10 games in the season? Was that really 10 games?
I believe it was, wasn't it? Because
I don't think I was 10 games, Sim. No.
It was November 11th. November 11th.
We started late October, right?
Yes. It was November the 11th.
That was
when they did that.
Nah, that doesn't make sense.
Because remember, they said that they were doing it in 10-game increments.
They definitely.
Right?
Yeah, it was 10 games.
Really?
It was 10 games into the season.
At the 20th game, like a big one.
Yes, exactly. We looked at the 20th game as, Fizdale got fired like 20-something games into the season. 28 games into the season or something. He was like 4-18 when he got fired. 22 games into the season or something like that.
Yeah, he was 4-18. Yeah, he was.
So this is what happened. This is Knicks president Steve Mills and general manager Scott Perry hijacking post-game press conference. Here we go. Let's take a listen.
Given that this is our 10th game, we felt we had an obligation to come and speak to you guys. Obviously, Scott and I are not happy with where we are right now. We think the team's not performing to the level that we anticipated or we expected it to perform at, and it's something that we think we collectively have to do a better job of delivering the product on the floor that we said we would do at the start of this season. We still believe in our coaching staff. We believe in the plan that Scott and I put together and the players that we've assembled, but we also have to acknowledge that we haven't played at the level we expected to play at. We haven't played we've seen glimpses of how we can play as a team when everything comes together, but we've got to find a way to play complete games at the level that we expect our team to play at. And that's a responsibility that we take collectively, but I also think it's important for us to communicate to our fans that we're not happy where we are right now, and we're committed to making this better, but we have to, as a group, come together and be more consistent in terms of how we play.
With that, we'll take questions.
Just out of curiosity, what spurred you guys to address us in this fashion? Because it's rare for it to happen.
We're not happy with where we are. This is not where we expect it to be at this point in 10 games in, and we just felt like we had an obligation to do that.
What's your sense about what the owner James Dolan feels about the product so far and the play of the team so far?
Jim still believes in the plan that we put together, but he's passionate as we are about this. So he would want us to have a better results on the floor as well. But I think Jim is a fan and believes in what we're doing, but he has the same kind of expectations that we have. And this is really about how we feel about what we should be doing and what we should be delivering as a group. And we all take responsibility for that.
Did he talk to you guys today?
We've talked to him during the game. I talked to him all the time over the course of the game.
Chris?
Do you feel like the level of effort is where it needs to be right now? Do you feel like you're seeing enough just on the court that their effort is where it needs to be?
I think it's the lack of consistency there. For the most part, you see you see sporadic efforts too, and that's what we talked about as we sat, during this game, and one of the reasons why we wanted to come out and address you guys, because we got to be consistent in all areas of the game, starting with effort.
Steve, I know you mentioned the 10 games, but is this something that if they played like they played Friday night, you wouldn't have come out tonight?
Well, I think if we had delivered that level of effort again tonight, and we probably wouldn't have come out. But this is something that we expected, a more complete game of basketball tonight than what happened on the floor, and we feel like we have an obligation to talk about that.
You talk about consistency, but does a lot of this come down to results as well? If this is a team that's winning 2 out of every 10 games, regardless of what the effort is, that will not be good enough in your eyes?
Well, again, we're not here focused on the record. We're focused on improvement and delivering a consistent effort, because we believe that if this team plays with the kind of effort they played on against Dallas, that we'll win basketball games. But the solution is for us to come out and give play a complete game of basketball every night.
And there it was, man. They kind of, they came in, they hijacked the entire press conference, right? And left everybody saying, what the hell were they doing? Right? It was just, they hijacked the entire thing, right, Guillermo? Right, Isaiah. They just hijacked it, and they left, and they just threw Fizdale under the bus. Not that Fizdale was doing a good job. I think the team was 2-8, right? But they just threw Fizdale under the bus. They should have fired him that day. If they were going to do that, they should have fired him right then. My opinion. Go ahead, Isaiah.
You know what's crazy? Listening to that interview again, I think me and Gilmore were laughing because we were like, yo, I know, what's his name, the light-skinned one? Scott Perry was yo, what's going on right now? Because I know this was Steve Mills. This was more Steve Mills than Scott Perry. Steve Mills is the type of dude to listen to the fans. Like, we all knew David Fizdale sucked. But you didn't have to do a cringe-worthy interview about the state of the Knicks when it's plain and see that we sucked and that we weren't good and that we weren't being coached right. You're right, Sim. You literally should have fired him, because then after this, David Fizdale turned to do his interviews, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't even know that happened." this, and that. I'm just like, "Yo,"
right?
I'm like, "Yo, what is going on?" It's like you forget all this stuff just in the wake of everything else is crazy. But I'm like, "Yo, this is insane!" Like, Steve Mills, like, what are you doing, bro? And then you know what I'm saying? Yeah, go ahead, Gemma. Go ahead.
I just hope that Stephen Dumb A. Smith, when he talks about all his little this coach got to be hired, this coach got to be hired, have him look back at this when he tries to imply that Dolan is racist and all this stuff. Tell me what racist owner or whatever you want to call him would allow a fool like Steve Mills to be the face of your or the face of the a lot of the decisions of your franchise and pull off a conference like this, right? I mean, for the simple fact that Steve Mills has had carte blanche, or we want to call it control, for so long, and he could pull off dumb things like this. Goes to show you, I don't think Dolan is necessarily racist overtly. He's just an idiot. So when all these people want to say, "Oh, this guy needs to be hired. This guy needs to be hired. He's unqualified. We need to hire Kenny the Jet Smith." Like, bro, when you hire people who do not know what the hell they're doing at their jobs, you get not necessarily just failure. You get embarrassment. This was embarrassing. Yeah, Fizdale's doing a terrible job. You didn't tell the guy. So now that looks bad. If you want to try to acquire free agents in a sense of guys to run your offense or coaches, whatever, they're going to look back at this and be like, are you serious? So if I'm having a bad 10 games and I'm about to get fired or whatever, or I'm on a hot seat, you put out a press conference talking about you're not happy with the way things are going, and you didn't even tell me that this is going to happen? That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, I so want the media is like they always when the Knicks when the Dolan gives opportunities to idiots, they never point out stuff like this, but they'll point out anything Dolan does. But when he gives chance to guys like Mills, look what he does.
And I think when we look back at it, this was Mills really trying to save his job. I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Guillermo, if you could take your camera and move it just a little bit, because all we can see is like the top of your head. There you go. Much better.
Sorry about that.
It was Mills trying to save his job and pin it on Fizdale. Pin everything on Fizdale. This is what it was. It was Mills trying to save his job. I think Dolan did, talk to them after the game. All right. I spoke. We all heard it and we all read it that, Dolan was livid and he called them guys into the office somewhere towards like halftime and I guess probably lit into them. And then there you go. They came out and they did what they did, hijacked the conference, and everybody knew at that point that David Fizdale was going to be gone. It was just a matter of time when David Fizdale was going to be gone. I can't understand why they let him dangle out there for 12 more games. What was the point? You should have just.
You also have to remember, Mills, they probably were trying to look for somebody to take the job, scramble and take the job. Because remember, this is the same Mills the guys he wanted to trade the deadline, like he wanted to get D'Lo and trade all these. They wanted to trade a bunch of assets for him. Steve Mills is a guy. He's the type of guy that like. He just woke up and realized, oh, crap, I'm about to get fired. Let me scramble and try to do my job. Like, this guy's had his job for, 10 years and has been useless for the most part in whatever capacity he's been. So he was probably trying to find a coach and needed Fizdale to be out because it seemed, because even after that game, it seemed like we all saw it. Sim was like, Fizdale's definitely about to get fired. We kept saying this, like, yeah, this dude, any day now, because it was almost like he was just coaching – just as if he was just, I'm just here to fill in tonight. He's like a substitute teacher. So I mean, obviously they had no backup plan. And who do you get? You get your guy. I'm not getting on Mike Miller for it. I don't think that's a bad thing. You got an interim coach, but I really think that Steve Mills, he's the type of guy. He probably want to make a big splash for another coach. And maybe at that time they're just like, all right, just maybe Dolan just came up on that, that static line where it's just like, just keep holding on because you're about to get fired yourself. But I'm not. We need to find some type of contingency plan because you're an idiot. So Steve Mills. I don't know. Guy's a weirdo.
Yeah. So then that was November the 11th, right? And 10 games into it, man. November the 11th, 10 games into it. They hijacked the conference and then. Another 12 games goes by and they fire Steve Mills. I mean, they fired David Fizdale. Right? So David Fizdale is then fired after, After 22 games.
It was the Utah. Was it the Utah game we got blown out, right?
I don't remember exactly what game it was.
Because we got blown out that game too.
Maybe it was was it Denver?
I thought it might be Denver because I'm for some reason I'm thinking the Pacers, but I'm thinking of the uniforms. It may have been Denver.
I think it was Denver.
We like 40 points.
It was we got killed by like 40 points. Yeah, we got killed by like 40
points, and that was like he was like, yo, this nigga's getting fired.
And because we played the Pacers right after we got fired. Right after he got fired, we played the Pacers and we played them well.
Okay.
Right? We played a close game. But we got smacked by the Denver Nuggets, man. We got smacked. I think it was like 2 games in a row where we got smacked by 40.
Oh yeah, no, because that's
2
the
games
first
in a
time
row
in
we got
Knicks
smacked by
history
40.
we got blown out by like 40 points in a row.
Yep. Got
that's what
smacked.
happened.
Did they have him out at practice like the game after? And it was like, oh yeah, we got the news. It's like, wait, why would you have him?
So
goodbyes. I mean,
so yes, they had him. only the Knicks do stuff like this, man. Right? Only the Knicks do this, man. Right? So yes, he was then seen in practice clapping everyone's hand, you know, talking to the brass. This was the same day that he was fired right here, what you're looking at on the screen. The same day that he was fired. Right? You see him shaking hands with Steve Mills. You know, Steve Mills shaking hands like, yeah, we going out to get some brunch after this. You know what I'm saying? Right? Allen Houston shaking his hand, you know what I mean? And and he's talking to him now. I did get some information. I'm not trying to throw stuff out there, but from what I understood, he kind of wanted to have a last practice so that he could talk to the guys, shake everybody's hands, and do stuff like that. So, from what I understand, this was like his goodbye to everybody. He knew it was done. He knew he was gone. He was heading out. This was his goodbye to everybody. You know what I mean? And this is the way that he wanted to go out, by having one last practice. Take it or leave it, however you want. That's how I understand it. And that's what it looks like to me. Right? It looks like he's shaking everybody's hand knowing that he was gone. Of course, in the media it was put out there that the Knicks let him coach one more time and then fired him, right? That's how it's always going to be put out there when it's the Knicks. But I don't know if that was entirely accurate. You know what I'm saying? Let me get to a phone call and I'm gonna get back to you guys. All right?
It's gonna be the dude from Breaking Bad.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you talking about, but let me get back. Let me get the phone call. Caller, you're on live with Nothing But Knicks. What's popping?
What's going on, son? I'm just tuning into the show. I wanted to ask you a couple of quick questions. If you touched on during the show, the start of the season, I'm hearing is rumored to be June. And how does that impact the draft? I mean, how does that impact free agency? If you could touch on some of those things.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna, as we're going over the season, as we get to, this whole coronavirus thing, we definitely gonna touch on that because it'll definitely have an impact on the draft. Matter of fact, if this thing continues to go, for a long period, the draft may be on television. I mean, it's going to be on television, but you may see the draft without players even being there or something crazy.
Like an actual draft ceremony, essentially.
Right.
They'll have it kind of like digital, where it's online, or kind of like how the NFL does, like the draft, like the 6th and 7th round, where it's kind of like digital. I'm thinking they're going to do it that, but if they're going to start the first round in June, and you're talking about like the finals being like mid-July, so maybe they'll probably kick the draft in like August, and maybe we'll still have time for training camp and all that. But they'll get these 2 or 3 months in between. I mean, that could be impactful for like the whole league. I mean, you could probably see guys like Durant come back, like maybe help Brooklyn in the playoffs. Like you may see some of the better players come back healthier. So.
Hey, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, we're definitely going to get to that. That's a real good point right there. Real good point. You know what I mean? Real good point. Hey, I appreciate the call, man.
Hey, man, thanks. Appreciate you, son.
No doubt. Yeah, that's a good point. We're going to get to that, but that's a real good point, when we're talking about the playoffs. So, David Fizdale was fired. Right now, look, we haven't even gotten to 2020 yet. David Fizdale fired ladies and gentlemen. And Mike Miller takes over. And get this, after David Fizdale is fired, nobody comes out and speaks to the Knicks fans about what's happening and what's going on. I'm saying nobody. As a matter of fact, till today, the only person from the executive office that has addressed the fans, and Steve Stoute is not even from the executive office. He's the only person that has come out and addressed the fans. The only person. Not one person has, since they hijacked this press conference that we just saw, not one person has come out and addressed the Knicks fans. That's craziness to me, but it is what it is. Not one person has come out and addressed the Knicks fans, man. That's wild. But anyway, Mike Miller. This is Mike Miller without anybody addressing the fans, right? Anything. The only thing that came out was, just a statement or whatever to say that Mike Miller would be taking over as the interim head coach. So this is Mike Miller left to deal with everything on his own, ladies and gentlemen. Here you go.
I would like to thank Coach Fizz for the opportunity, to be a part of his staff and to work with such a great group of coaches. Very appreciative there, and would like to thank the entire Knicks organization. I've been here now, as you know, this is my 5th year working for the Knicks, and very appreciative to the entire organization for giving me the opportunity to start and work my way up into the organization. We have a high character group of players. They're professional. They come in, they work every day, and the message is we want to be more consistent. We're going to be more consistent in what we do and how we work, play to play, possession to possession.
Yeah. For you guys, with coming in as quickly as you do on the run here, do you keep things the same today? Do you try and put in some of your stuff?
Well, it's as you said, it's been a day. And so we've really focused on, as we've gotten into it, of just really preparing for this game. So that has been a lot about the Pacers and going in and knowing what their strengths are and what we need to do tonight. We really feel like offensively, if we took one area, when we're moving the ball and we have a constant movement and we have that force with the ball, we've seen a lot of good things happen. So that's one area that we would like to go to work on.
Coach, obviously the front office made a change for a reason. What was their communication with you and what they want to see differently?
Well, most of the focus has been, as we talked about, what I can tell you is they've been very supportive about going forward and what we're doing with this group.
I'm curious, I know you said that the players are professionals and they obviously are taking this in stride, but it's been well documented and players have talked about how much they enjoy Coach Fizdale. Was there any sense of disappointment or emotions like that you guys had to talk about as you were going through this?
Yeah, I really don't want to speak for them at this point. You'll get an opportunity, to ask them, and I'm sure they could give you a better answer than I could at this point.
I know with the G League, when these guys were running the triangle, you ran the triangle, and then it changed a little bit, and you kind of mirrored the Knick offense. But I guess ideally, what does a Mike Miller coach team's offense look like? How would you describe that?
Well, I think where we started from the earlier question is we want movement. Let's get some force with our entries coming into our offense. Let's have some attack. Let's get downhill more, put more pressure on that defense, and do that consistently. Because when we've done that, we felt like we've had good possessions and we've had good quarters, good halves, good games, and that's where we're at.
Coach, for you personally, what has the last 24 hours been like? I mean, a year ago, could you ever imagine you'd be standing here and doing this job today?
I didn't know I was this popular. I'm not sure my phone is functioning now. I have so many messages and so forth. So it's been going through the last 24 hours, like I said, we've been communicating nonstop with our group and working through things. Yep.
Obviously, at 4-18 and the fact that they fired David Fizdale, like Knicks wanted to change. You as coach coming in terms of playing style, in terms of rotations, who gets minutes and all that type of stuff, do you want to maintain continuity and see if you can tweak it, or do you want to do any wholesale changes in any regard? What are you thinking in terms of which way to go with that?
Well, just to start with the focus on tonight, what we're going to go into, it's going to be really what the game calls for. What do we need? Everybody's ready. We believe in everybody, and it's going to be what we need for this game. Who can help us, build this thing through this game, one game at a time. As cliche as that sounds, that's really what it is. It's been one day, and that's where it's at.
Mike, you have such a long background with colleges and G League. Have they talked to you about the youth versus the veterans here? Is there a focus still on player development? Is that something you want to focus on?
Well, there's always a focus on player development. I mean, that's obviously the foundation of every team, and that will always be, something that's very important.
All right, so that was Mike Miller as he took over for David Fizdale. And Guillermo, just from what you've heard in that interview, as we take a look back to the interview, right? As we take a look back at that interview.
Oh, yeah, it's coming to me.
And yeah, I'm coming to you, Guillermo. And, with what Mike Miller said in that interview, he basically talked about consistency. People tried to ask him about, they asked him a little bit how he felt being, hired, not hired, but taking over as the interim head coach. They asked him about the youth versus the veterans on the team. And obviously at that time, he was just like, they asked him about development. He was like, we're always developing. Basically, that's basically what he said. But looking back at that, what he was saying about the team, what do you think? I mean, just Mike Miller. All right, Mike Miller takes over. How has he done since then? The team was 4-18. They were 14 games below 500. They're probably, what's their record now? They're probably more than 14 games below 500 now. So I don't know what the exact record was, what the exact record is.
Isaiah say they're 21 and hold on, let me just check. My computer's acting stupid.
So the Knicks now
21 and 44.
21 and
Isaiah said
21 and 44, right? So they're 23 games below 500, which means they under Mike Miller, they're 9 games below 500. Now, obviously, everything isn't fair, for Mike Miller because you don't get a chance to have a training camp and really implement everything that you want to implement. And it is important that these things are done from the beginning, right? It's hard to take over in the middle, but regardless, they haven't fared much better when you really look at it. 21 and 45 they are. So they're 14 games below 500. 24 games below 500. How much? Okay, you can look at, the wins and losses aren't going to mean too much, right? As far as them being a team that's learning how to play basketball, as compared to Mike Miller and David Fizdale. I've heard a lot of the same complaints between Mike Miller and David Fizdale, not as much for Mike Miller because Mike Miller's the interim, so people are kind of like, not really caring too much about it, right? But, people worried about the rotations. Why is he using this rotation? Why is he using that rotation? Obviously, when it got down towards, if this is the end of the season, when it got down towards the end of the season, how come he's not playing the young guys more and all kinds of stuff? What's your assessment on what Mike Miller's done in these games?
So we got to break it down, right? So one, he was an interim coach, came in after 10 games or whatever, or how many games? 20 games, right?
Yeah, like 22 games.
He's coming from the G League. He's coming situation. Remember, Steve Mills is still in there, right? So Steve Mills, with all his machinations, probably tell him who and who not to play. You have a bunch of guys that he did not draft or have a hand in drafting. He's trying to and you could only implement so many things into a team that's very, first of all, very, there are a bunch of veterans on the team. There are some young guys too, but young veterans, it's a weird mix of players, not enough shooters. And I think that there's something underlying between the Knicks and Trier. So he's obviously hamstrung, because I remember there was an interview where they asked him about Trier, and he gave some cockamamie kind of like, corporate answer to it, and it didn't make any sense, because the guy asked why Trey wasn't playing, and he just gave some BS reason. So all in all, you want to give him an incomplete, but for the most part, I would just give him a solid B. I mean, he's probably succeeded better than what Fizdale could have done, which, I mean, shouldn't say a lot, but for the fact that he got us a bunch of wins against some teams, or he got us close in some games, like that Clippers game. We lost. We probably shouldn't have been up there with those guys, even though I don't think Kawhi played, right? I think Paul George played, but not Kawhi. There's some close games like the Denver game that we just lost. There's some impressive wins, like the second game we played against January 1st, first game of the new year against the Blazers. That was really impressive. Another game we played was that Nets game where we basically stopped their plan A, and they really had no plan B after that, with the Dinwiddie, really disrupting him from the high pick and roll. We had some impressive wins where you could see the coaching, right? And it wasn't just, all right, it's just individual games, right? Because we had games with Fizdale where we're like, oh yeah, Randle scored 30 points tonight, or, whoever had, back in last year, Moutier had, 20, 30-something points against the Charlotte Hornets, or whatever the hell the damn team is. Charlotte Hornets. No, it was the Grizzlies that we did it against, where Moutier had that game and we came back in the fourth quarter or something like that, where it's like you see his performances, all right, let's keep it up, and it's like it's not sustainable. And with the Knicks this year, it's just tough, because you see some spurts, right? RJ has a few games here and there, but I think RJ's steadily come along, right? Knox has been somewhat of a disappointment. Just in a second, I'm not saying overall, I'm just saying, what we want to see in terms of growth and that stuff. Trier is just not playing. So it's like, is he still being hamstrung by whoever's in the front office, or Dolan? Because Trier has done something. Where's the development with Knox? Why isn't Knox developing? Why is it seem like Knox is like, retracting? It's almost like he's going back in some aspects, you know what I mean? But then you have guys like RJ, Payne is looking like he could be a solid, it sounds crazy, but he could be a solid backup point guard for even a contender. You know what I mean? So certain things he's doing, Randle, mixed results on that end. It's tough to really blame or put everything on a guy who basically, and also the Steve Stoute thing, right? So now you have a guy who might just be, I'm just going to get wins for my resume, versus maybe if he had more security and they said, hey, we're going to look at everybody, but we're happy with what you're doing. Even if we don't hire you as a head coach, we want you on the coaching staff in some capacity. Maybe he might have been the guy to say, to try to develop these guys, right? Play the younger guys, be more experimental with sets, play more off ball in terms of, and he is doing this. You see it sometimes. You see where guys are cutting to the basket, and a proper pass gets a guy cutting to the basket, easy layup. He's doing more of that this season. And also, you took away his best score, which is more. So it's kind of hard to really get him. But you see some things. But if he had that opportunity to be, hey, you're going to be here next year, you have some assurances or something, maybe he might coach different. But now he's just coaching for his resume. So all in all, it's tough to really give him anything less than I give him a solid B, just given where his head is at, how much effery the Knicks have just been putting him through, and what he has to deal with, and what he was able to accomplish with certain players and certain wins this season that we just should have not been in, or should not won, or games he should not have been in. I got him a B.
Okay. All right. Isaiah, go ahead, man. Oh, hold up. Go ahead.
Hey, Sam, you want to hear a side note that I think is just so interesting? This coming up, there's gonna be Frank Ntilikina's fourth head coach, like fourth year. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I know, man.
That's just crazy, but people hate him. But you know what, Sim? Can I go back a little bit with David Fizdale and what really pissed me? You're gonna see a theme with me. It pissed me off with people was when he got fired. ESPN, they're very much clowns, and they're very unprofessional, because I remember Kendrick Perkins, Stephen A. Smith, all these people were like, oh man, who's the happiest person on earth? David Fizdale, he gets to get paid and get fired from the Knicks. And I'm like, man, that's very unprofessional. Because I'm like, you guys don't watch the games. Most of them don't watch games. They just watch, the primetime games on ESPN, the Laker games and all that stuff. They don't watch. They don't, see how bad David Fizdale was at coaching, which if you even paid attention and did some actual journalism, which you guys haven't been journalists in so long, you would know that people and even Memphis didn't like him. Because I remember, like, when he got fired, people were like, yo, David Fizdale's a good coach. Look what he did with the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm like, yeah, you talk to a lot of fans. He sucked. A lot of people didn't like him on the Grizzlies. So it was always funny to me that, like, when David Fizdale got fired, a lot of people from ESPN, and which, again, a lot of these people worked with him because he was on the jump with Rachel, she doesn't know anything, Nichols. Like, it's just like they get so biased when it comes to one of their friends. And I'm just so interested, like when he got fired, it was just like everybody coming to defend him. But I'm like, have you watched the games? Like, he sucked. It just always found so interesting to me. But to go on Mike Miller, man, I mean, I'm gonna have to probably give him a B too, just because of, he got a crap load of crap handed to him, and he did the best he could with it. Between Steve Mills getting fired, David Fizdale, then the roster sucked, and then you have David Fizdale interplaning. What's the word?
Huh? What?
He put his system.
Implement. Implement.
Imprint, yeah, inputted his system.
Wow, what the
implement?
Hell? That wasn't the way. I don't even know what word I was. Oh man, hey, listen, this is my one for tonight. That's my one for tonight. I'll take that out.
Bro.
Okay. Anyway, let me start getting distracted. What's it? No, yeah, basically, yeah,
he got lost. He got lost in his thoughts. The ADHD took over. The ADHD took over.
No, wait, hold on. Now, with Mike Miller, though, it was just like he had like none of his own philosophies on there. The defense did get better, but then it slacked off. But then, that's just being a bad team. But the defense did get better. RJ played better. I don't think that really was Mike Miller versus just RJ being a better player at recognizing things. Yeah, but I give him a B. Again, like right now, he's kind of slowed off because he's playing the veterans a lot. Free Dot, free Zoe. Mama Zoe, if you're watching this, we love your son. Free him. It's just like, again, I was telling Gilmore this when you were going to somebody else. I would love to see Mike Miller back as Kenny Atkinson's head assistant coach. I would love to see Mike Miller because I do think he's a good coach, and I do think he did a lot of good for us. So I would love to see him back with the Knicks, because I think he's either going to go back to the G League or being another assistant coach. But I would love for Kenny, if you're watching this at home, just know when you become the Knicks head coach, Kenny, Mike Miller should be your number one.
I mean, I'm hoping. I don't want to see him go back to the G League. I think he's probably proved himself to be able to perform at the NBA level, and he may not pick up a head coaching job, but I think he'll be, I think he'll be an assistant somewhere. If not with the Knicks, he'll be an assistant somewhere.
Yeah.
So now we're into December. Yeah, real quick.
One more thing. If Meek Mill in The Weeknd had a baby, it would be Kavan. I just want everybody. I just want everybody to know that. Meek Mill and Weeknd had a baby, there would be Kavan.
All right. This guy. But so now we're into December, right? And
we only in December?
Well, yeah, we only into December, man. He got fired and we're only into this December.
Man, we only on December. This is crazy, man.
Right? All right, we're into December. Yeah, all of this, and we're only into December, right? So now we kind of go through December. We go through December without too much controversy outside of basketball. I'm not sure. I mean, throughout the season, James Dolan was kicking people out. So, that's kind of throughout the season, right? But not a whole lot of controversy in December. We get to January 1st, David Stern passes away. Okay, and of course that's an entire NBA thing. You know what I'm saying? That's not just for the Knicks. That's an entire NBA thing. Rest in peace to David Stern.
James Dolan did pay for the funeral. Just I want people to know that.
Yep, James Dolan did.
That didn't get talked about.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yes, James Dolan paid. Yep, James Dolan picked up the tab for the entire funeral.
Wow,
yep,
and no one talks about that. Wow.
Let's not get started on that.
I mean, but it's true. And Knicks, Knicks players were there. Obviously, the NBA was there. Knicks players were there. You see, RJ Barrett and those guys, getting out of their bus, attending the funeral. Knicks players attended the funeral. The funeral was at, or the memorial. Let me not say funeral. The memorial was at Radio City Hall, I believe. And James Dolan took care of the entire thing. I think it was on, ESPN, that NBA show, whatever. With Rachel Nichols.
They briefly said James Dolan paid for it. Like it was like a side note. It was just like a side note. It was just like, James Dolan paid for it. That was it.
Wow, I never knew that.
That's man. That's just funny. That's just funny to me. These narratives that these narratives that these shows try to push on people about, James Dolan, he's a slave owner. He just owns slaves and it's slaves in MSG, It's a plantation. But it's let's keep going because that's just the whole thing itself.
And then of course, Knicks players, a couple of Knicks players commented.
Blessed to be one of the guys that's still in the league that got to hear his name called on draft night by David Stern.
Yeah, he called my name on draft night. That was one of the highlights of my life, just being able to get my name called and even getting the chance to meet him. I was starstruck.
It was amazing to be able to go to the memorial. You got to listen to Hall of Famers and unbelievable executives and lawyers and attorneys speak.
And it was a great atmosphere, a lot of love in that place, and a lot of good memories, fond memories, the way they were speaking so highly of him. But you can feel the love in there and people mourning.
His legacy, how to sum it up, it's hard to pick one word. I would just say one of one. He's one of the best commissioners in sports, period.
He was into making the game better for everybody, but he was even thinking about helping guys off the court as well.
Yeah, that was David Stern, man.
Blessed to be, one of the...
passed away January 1st, and Knicks fans and NBA fans and players, across the league celebrated his life. But that's just another thing. It's not like that was a big thing about the Knicks organization, but anytime David Stern was based in New York.
He was a Knicks fan.
What'd you say?
That David Stern was a Knicks fan.
Oh yeah, I mean, you would think so.
Well, the funny thing is, it kind of correlates with the Knicks with David Stern. He really, I love this, because he really wanted to get Michael Jordan to the Knicks, and the Knicks were gonna get Michael Jordan. Well, they kind of faked that. I think his agent did that just to get Michael Jordan more money, but it was really a real thing that he was coming to the Knicks in 97 or something like that. 97, 98, whatever year he got that big contract.
97 or 90, whenever you got Allen Houston. That was supposed to be.
Because it was, I'm trying to remember, but it was like David Stern was going to allow the Knicks to pay part of Michael Jordan's salary and ownership of a building or something, like a company. He was going to get some of he was going to get paid through that and get paid $15 million, but the rest was going to cover through a business venture it was just funny because David Stern really was going to allow it to happen because it was the Knicks. So that's always a funny story that I learned about him. He was a big Knicks fan. Shout out to the Freeze envelope though.
Right. But David Stern passed away, and then shortly after that, with the Knicks on a West Coast trip, Julius Randle's grandmother passes away.
She did? Oh, wow.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. If you remember on that West Coast trip,
a dark ass
after
season.
the Knicks played the Lakers, there were rumors that Julius Randle left, was called into a private meeting, after the game, and that he left upset. And people were like, oh, he got traded, or this happened or that happened. You know what I'm saying? It was like, let's just slow down. Let's not say he got traded or anything just yet, because we don't know what's going on. And then it came out, then he was away from the team for like 3 or 4 days. He didn't play in Utah. We played somebody else. We got blown out we got blown out by the Lakers. We got blown out. We played tight with the Clippers, right? We played a tight game with the Clippers. We got blown out by the Lakers. We got blown out by the Jazz. We got blown out by somebody else. But he was away for a couple of days because his grandmother passed away. That was in January.
I don't like Julius Randle, but I know that pain of losing your grandmother. So definitely, that's unfortunate. So
yeah, and then he came back. Triborough Gigolo said, in the chat said, he played his butt off the next game. Yeah, he came back and had a really good game. After his grandmother's death, and that was January the 7th. All right. Move on down the line, and I am in New York getting ready to attend. I'm on my way. I'm driving to New York to attend the Knicks Nets game, and you guys already know what's happening here, what I'm about to say here. All right, January 26th, Kobe and Gigi Bryant pass away. All right, and that was definitely a tough moment. Guillermo was at the game. Isaiah, was you at the game? Isaiah was at the game with me, right?
Yeah, me and my pops. Yeah.
Yep. And just describe briefly what it was like in the arena that night.
I mean, yes, Guillermo, you can go first, Guillermo.
It was I can't use that word. It was dreary. Like, I remember the first half, you could literally hear, and this is when people were in their seats, you could literally hear the players on the court and the streaks of their shoes. Like, no one was really talking. There wasn't really any like roars I've never been to the Garden, even when we had bums like Larry Hughes and we're getting destroyed by the Heat. I was never able to hear the players talk and streaks of of their sneakers going up and down the court. It was just, everybody was just not in the mood. It was just not it wasn't a good feeling. No one felt energized to really to cheer. And we won that game. We actually had a really good game overall, and it was just nothing was fun about it. It didn't seem like anybody, and none of us were really in it. We kept our spirits with ourselves, just talking and everything, but it just didn't feel good. It didn't feel fun. And then it just felt dreadful, kind of.
Yeah, right. I mean, to pick up where Gabriel left off, I mean, this was the first time in my life where I was like, man, I didn't even want to watch the game. And I love the Knicks, especially I'm with my father, and it was just like, and like Guillermo said, like, this is the first time in my life I've been to the Garden where you can hear everything. I mean, hear everything. And it's like the energy. I've never been in a stadium before, or arena, and the energy was just depressing. I mean, you look on the court. I mean, I remember me and Guillermo, and we were talking during the shoot-up, like, yo, these guys don't want to play. Look at them. You literally saw them during warm-up, just you can tell they weren't there. Even listen, I don't like Kyrie Irving, but I don't even blame him. He didn't play because it's just like, it's just so, it was just so depressing, man. It was just like the energy was off, and then it's like, that was,
and it sucks too, because
I had a bad time to play basketball, man.
Thank God I didn't hear Mike Breen talk, because when I watched the Bleacher Report, they had him. His voice was like trembling, and Mike Breen has he has a classic stoic voice for basketball. He's one of those legends in terms of his voice, and it's just to hear him like kind of trouble and trying to tell stories while like kind of it's like it just wasn't a fun game. And even I remember we were just saying, it's like you can't really even assess or judge these guys. It's like you won, but it feels cheap. It's like you're beating a bunch of kind of depressed guys. And then, how many of these guys have, the guys like Julius Randle allegedly, worshiped the ground that Kobe walked on when, he was with the Lakers, Kyrie Irving didn't play. He couldn't play. He's close to Kobe. A bunch of these guys have had run-ins with Kobe before. So it's just, everyone's just like, and we always just like, this game probably should have been canceled because no one felt like being there. It's weird. The fact that you could hear the players on the court. And even those players, it wasn't like you might hear a little here, but it wasn't like guys were overly energetic. So it was just like, it's just
it was a crazy atmosphere. It was hard to get the energy up. It was really hard to get the energy up. Kevon, you want to jump in on that real quick?
Yeah. Absolutely. I actually see somebody in the comments who said he was talking about like, Kobe Bryant wasn't exactly their favorite player, just play style. Like, and I can agree with that. Like Kobe Bryant as a player, I came into the NBA, I have an older brother and I used to jab him all the time because he's a big time Lakers fan. So I was kind of like the anti-Lakers person in general. But Kobe Bryant is more than a basketball player. As I grew older, you take a listen to his mentality, and his mentality goes much further than the game of basketball. His mentality, that kind of Mamba mentality, is something that people are taking into their work, into their professional lives. That type of dedication, that type of passion to the craft. Like, so I think, earlier this year, hearing that news, people were able to look at Kobe Bryant bigger than basketball. Look at him as a father. My brother that I was just talking about had his first child about a month after Kobe passed, and it was a girl. So, he kind of adopted that whole girl dad mentality that Kobe was being an example of. So it was tragic. It still hasn't necessarily settled with me that Kobe's gone. He is gone now, but I think a lot of his legacy is just that mentality that's transcends the game of basketball.
Yeah, and there were moments of silence and across the entire league. There were moments of silence. There were tributes played to Kobe across the entire league, across the nation, across the world. It was something. It was something, and still is something. Unfortunately, we have so much going on that it leaves us that quick, the way things are in today's world. But this was the tribute that was at the Garden that night. This was recorded live at the Garden. It was while I was there with Guillermo and Isaiah. Take a listen. Check it out.
Earlier today, at the age of 41, in a tragic helicopter crash that also took the life of his daughter, Gianna. What? An 18-time All-Star, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and a 5-time NBA champion, Kobe had a multitude of iconic moments here at Madison Square Garden, including setting a then Madison Square Garden record of 61 points in 2009. And tonight, we remember the life and legacy of Kobe Bryant and join the Los Angeles Lakers, the Buss family, and the entire basketball world in mourning his passing. Please join us in a moment of silence in honor of number 24, Kobe Bryant. Thank you.
Yep, and these were things all across the league, ladies and gentlemen. There were, similar type of tributes across the league. You seen games where, teams were, they would let the 24-second clock expire, let the 8-second, the 8-second clock expire, and all of that stuff. And after the game, though, we had fans who wanted to share some of their greatest Kobe moments. Okay, and obviously, players across the league did similar things. Just sharing their favorite Kobe moments. All right, and these were all fans who were at the game. Many of you right now were in the chat, most likely. All right, so if you're in the chat and you see yourself on the video that I'm about to play, go ahead and shout yourself out. You know what I'm saying? Because you deserve to be shouted out. And by the way, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell. You'll be notified anytime I go live, drop a video, or post in my community section. Also, don't forget, this Wednesday, coming up, this Wednesday, I am going to be not reviewing, but we're gonna take a look at and talk about the New York Knicks versus the Boston Celtics. Game 5, 1990. But anyway, take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This right here is these are the fans who had a reaction to Kobe Bryant.
He deserves all the respect that they give him.
Yeah, definitely.
Rest in peace.
My favorite moment, besides the 61 he dropped on us, was the 03-04 season when he went 45, like 9 to 11 games. He came to the Garden and he had a particular move when he went baseline and he did like a reverse windmill, boom, on us. Look it up on YouTube, but that's my favorite Mamba moment. So rest in peace. I'm gonna miss him.
My favorite Kobe moment was when Kobe gave props to Melo and said he was one of the hardest players to ever guard. Melo's my favorite player. So
Yo, how I know he's going
So
I know he's going to say that.
Rest in peace, Mamba. We love you, man.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
It was Carmelo and Kobe. It was Kobe's retirement year. That was a real when we won the game, and it was real good to see Carmelo and Kobe hug it out at the end of that. I'll never forget that moment for Kobe Bryant.
It was 2008 against the Nuggets. It was game 2 of the first round. Dude was going crazy, 48 points. That was when he was the Black Mamba. And then he started the tugging the jersey, can't stop me. I was like, whoa, whoa.
I don't have one favorite Kobe moment. There's a video on YouTube of all of Kobe's game winners, and it's like 15 minutes long, right? Kobe had the fortitude, the mettle, the courage to take that shot, make a miss. And that encompasses the type of player that he is. Right? There'll never be another one like him. Rest in peace to the God.
Also, his all-star game versus Michael Jordan, that's where you saw him go up the next level, where Jordan kind of gave him the ball and said, listen, you're the next leader of the NBA.
My favorite Kobe moment got to be when the All-Star game. It was Jordan's last All-Star game, and the East was trying to make Jordan get it, and Kobe was like, nah, bump that. I'm taking this. I'm here now. That's my favorite, and he won MVP in that All-Star game too. So that got to be my favorite Kobe moment. Rest in peace, man.
I'm sad about Kobe and his daughter, man. That hit me hard. I couldn't even really enjoy the game how I wanted to because of that. So, rest in peace to him and his family. Love to his family.
R.I.P. to Kobe. Real crazy.
He was a Renaissance man. He just didn't, play basketball. He won an Oscar for making a movie, and it's a real loss for humanity, not just basketball.
It got to be his last game, son. How much he scored? 60. 60? They gave him 60. How you end your career like that, bro? 60? Come on, bro. He's the ghost, man.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was a tough moment, not just for Knicks fans, but for NBA players and across the league. You know what I mean? So there we go. So Guillermo, you remember that night, right? We also met Allen Houston that night.
So Allen Houston, much respect to him because, a few of us turned into little cheerleading girls, just like, oh, Allen Houston. And, he gave us enough respect.
Say the names.
I was chilling because I remember somebody asked, like, yo, that's Allen Houston. I'm like, just let him rock, But, salute to Allen Houston. He came through, took pictures and stuff. He could have been like, oh, screw y'all, I ain't doing this. But he was really humble, and he's really nice. Talk for like a few minutes, and I think he was talking to you, right, Sim, or something like that. Well, first of all, he has to talk to Sim. Sim has, Sim got. Sim knows where the bodies are hidden, so he has to come and say hello to the local Don. But that Allen Houston was cool, and Garrett Temple came out looking hashishi, couldn't even talk. We clowned him. He had some bad chick with him, but he was dressed up. After I don't know what he was dressed up for, but he looked corny. And we were kind of ragging on him as he was trying to walk away, ignore us. So, all in all, it was a fun night, man. It was a fun after the Kobe thing. It was fun in terms of recovery and, trying to make the most out of a bad situation. But, salute to you guys, man. You guys did a great job trying to, bring up your favorite Kobe moments. And you started talking about the draft and all that sort of stuff. So, we try to keep our spirits up, man. But, it's tough because, like Dude said, man, Kobe was not one of my favorite players whatsoever. But, when you look back at him, and you look at this current NBA generation where guys are sitting out 50 games and then coming back into playoffs like, oh yeah, I'm ready to bust ass. And it's like, dude, you sat out for 50 games, bro. Like you should be able to do something. Kobe was the type of guy. I think if you amputated his legs, he would still try to find a way to play and contribute. The guy was just a straight warrior, last of a dying breed. We're not going to see those type of guys like readily anymore. So once he retired, once he went out, is like it hits you as like, damn, man, even if you didn't like Kobe, you respected his game. You hear the stories of him all the time, like Jay Williams talking about how Kobe was in the gym. He saw Jay Williams in the gym, so the next day he had to come back earlier. It's just, you miss that tenacity. So when he scores 61 at the Garden, you hate him, but you almost look at it in awe. And, now that he's passed away, you respect a lot more just because these guys now are just too soft.
Right. No doubt, man. No doubt. So then the very next day, on January 27th, we find out that Steve Stoute and his company was hired to do the public relations for the New York Knicks.
Lord.
And almost immediately, not almost immediately, we found out and people had questions and all this kind of stuff about, Steve Stoute. And we're going to get into the whole interview later because that's not the biggest news yet. We found out that Steve Stoute was hired. Everyone, okay, all right, cool. We're going to find out what Steve Stoute is about. We'll learn a little bit. But after Steve Stoute was hired, a week later, Steve Mills was canned. He was fired from the New York Knicks. I remember vividly. Let me see. February 4th was a Tuesday, right? On Sunday, was it Sunday? Saturday or Sunday? Somebody hit me up and said, yo, Steve Mills was just at the Garden. It was a Sunday. Steve Mills was just at the Garden and he left heated. He left mad. Right? And I was like, really? Now, obviously, we didn't know what it was all about. All we knew is that Steve Mills was spotted leaving Madison Square Garden highly upset, steaming. Okay?
Camera outside MSG, Sam?
What'd you say? I can't tell you how I found that out. All you know is I found it out. That's all you gotta know is that I found it out.
I was like,
Devon, kiss the ring, Devon, kiss the ring.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Devon? What'd you say?
Kiss the ring, Devon.
Because I was like, don't you live in Maryland? Like, I remember that tweet. It was like a good like 2 hours span between the time you tweeted and said Steve Mills is leaving MSG right now and he's not looking happy, and then 3 hours later, the like news drop. So you got like a penthouse.
Kavon, kiss the ring, Kavon. Kiss the ring.
It's the ring. He said it's the ring.
You just don't ask, Kavon. It's okay. Just look.
Well,
there's certain things that you have to be concerned with. You just don't be. You don't have to be concerned. It's okay, man. It's fine.
Actually, though, it was
everybody who is afraid to ask questions.
Sim is just trying to protect you, just in case. Look, he's trying to protect you from what's out there. You know, Sim. You know, he's connected. It's okay, man. We all used to ask questions, but you know, it is what it is.
we stopped asking questions like last year, Kavon.
Right, but he was spotted leaving. It was, and I was like, okay, it's a Sunday. He left on a Sunday night. There is no reason, and what was going on that night? It was the day before the Super Bowl. It was
the day of the Super Bowl.
It was the day of the Super Bowl, right? And I was like, there is no. I just couldn't. When I put out the video, and you can go back and you can look at the video, I was like, I'm not gonna speculate, but it has to be something really, really serious if you get called in to speak to James Dolan and you leave mad on a Sunday night before the Super Bowl. And you know, some people are like, you making too much of it, this, that, this, and that, this, and that. The next day or Tuesday, whenever it was, Steve Mills was gone. He was out of there.
Yeah, respect the Don Sim, man. Respect
he was out of there.
Sim.
And I lied to you not. I was this close to being able to break the news.
Sim, stop being humble.
Just before I got like straight up. No, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just saying. I was that close. To be able to put it out there. Not that I'm not really concerned with breaking news, but it would have been fun.
Oh, here you go.
Not really concerned with it like
Sam.
that, but it would have been fun. You know what I'm saying?
Sam, stop
it would have
being
been
humble,
fun.
man.
I'm just saying it would have been fun. I mean, like, cause like that morning I got a text. It was like, "Yo, he's being fired." I was like, "Oh snap, for real?" And can I put it out? Oh, not yet. I gotta get some confirmation. I was like, "All right." But anyway, he got fired.
Don't ask questions.
I'm trying not to, yo.
But anyway, he got fired. You know what I'm saying? And it was just crazy because then everyone's like, okay, what are we gonna do now? Well, just a couple of days before the trade deadline, right? Just a couple of days before the trade deadline. Not like Steve Mills is a master at making moves. I didn't want the Knicks to make any moves. I was okay that they only made one move. I was totally fine with that. They made one move. They traded Marcus Morris, got draft picks, and Mo Harkless back. I was fine with just doing that. I didn't care that they didn't do anything else because I wanted whoever was going to come in to basically have a clean slate and not have to, not have to deal with whatever Steve Mills might have done. You know what I mean? So, of course, there were rumors out there all over the place that, Steve Mills was about to make this move, about to make that move, and that move, and this move, and that move, to save his job. You know what I'm saying? So it was good. I guess it was the right move. If he was getting ready to do that just to save his job, then it was the right move to fire him exactly when it happened. You know what I mean? Probably should have been done before then. What'd you say?
There was a rumor that he was really trying to keep Morris and not get the first round pick.
Yeah, that was the rumor that he would.
Oh,
that was one of the rumors that he wanted to keep Morris, right? That he wanted to keep Morris, and Scott Perry wanted to move Morris. So those two guys were having internal conflicts.
And Sim, but here is again, like Guillermo was saying, when people like to call James Dolan racist, go back to these moments when he hires these certain people like Steve Mills and all these dudes. Any common general manager knows that's the trade you do 10 times out of 10. You always trade, for the most part, usually, you usually trade an expiring deal for a first round pick. There's no question about that. I mean,
Well, you don't use
the Knicks. The Knicks aren't going anywhere. I mean, the guy has very little foresight because he's just stupid, right? Let's just be honest.
Right.
Steve Mills is just an idiot, right? I mean, they were talking about him potentially trading for D'Lo, but this is again. This is a guy who literally, he said, or rumors or whatever you want to call him, said that they built this team and thought that this was a playoff team. And anyone can tell you this is not a playoff team. We sat here in the beginning of the season all optimistic. And when Sim asked the question, how many games you think these guys are going to win realistically? We said, the most we said was like mid-30s. And even then people, so this is a guy who literally has no foresight, has no understanding of how the game works. And then he wants to come in and then reload again. So, I mean, it was obvious. Even Dolan had to be like, all right, bro, you got to get the hell out of here because you have no idea what the hell you're doing. I mean, Steve Mills is just piss poor terrible. I mean, so I'm happy that they got him out. I mean, I still think it took too long, but yeah, he was on his way to trade for D'Lo for more. And you're gonna, and we talk about this, right? Marcus Morris is the right guy for the team at the wrong time. This guy is, and he's, again, it's a role player who was peaking with a lot of usage on a team that's not going nowhere. If this team was sniffing the playoffs, I'd say, hey, keep him, try to see what you do, blah, blah. This team was nowhere near the playoffs, and he still wanted to keep the guy. Why? Because he's putting up numbers. All right, put up numbers, but we have no wins. We don't have wins to basically account for or validate it. You know what I mean? It's just stupid.
It's just again,
I have a job like that. Why can I get the Knicks job like that? What the hell? Are you kidding me?
For real, man.
I swear my life, I'll give you 30 wins. I will guarantee my life I'll get you 30 wins if I was a coach, man. I'm joking. I know it's hard, but come on. Steve Mills,
it's just crazy, Sim, because it's like, how can you say that we're in asset building mode and you don't recognize that, okay, Morris is about 30 years old. He's a good player, but he's on a bad team. The Clippers are giving us a first round pick. You're gonna get the 25th or 27th, whatever pick. That's common sense. You do that because we're just in the asset getting mode. Get an asset. Get the first round freaking pick.
You know what's scary? You know what's scary about it? Look at how Steve Mills got the job. I'm pretty sure Steve Mills got the job on some buddy stuff, right? The way he got that job, and remember what Morris is saying. Morris is like, I really want to stay with the team and all this other stuff. All this, good old hogwash. I mean, it is what it is. I think that Steve Mills, and remember what Derrick Rose said, right? Even though I don't like how Derrick Rose kind of, I guess,
don't talk about
say some things about the Knicks, but he said that Steve Mills was trying to come at him with something like, "Yo, blackity black." He said it in the way that he said it, which is kind of funny, and that's how Steve Mills gets down. He didn't treat Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose has his issues. He didn't treat him as a professional, which is like, hey, I'm gonna talk to you as professional. I'm gonna address you as this. He was trying to come on him like, yo, you listen to rap, right? And it's like he had like this 1990s like guidebook as to how to relate to guys on the streets, yo. And it's like, bruh, that's how Perry thinks. He thinks of everything as like, friend, I'm trying to be, cool, get my guys, and it's permeated, right? We don't play Trier for some reason. I still feel that's partially maybe Mills or whatever the higher ups don't want. And you're trying to keep a guy in Morris because Morris is the guy who's the only guy's producing, and you're trying to ingratiate yourself with him, and you think you might not get him next year or whatever, but it's a role player who's overperforming on a terrible team, and you can't see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that guy's out of there, man. So that was, yeah, that was something, and then it didn't take long. It didn't take long for us to find out that Leon Rose was the potential new president, right? It didn't take long at all to find out that he was going to be the potential new president, although it hadn't been announced yet. It wasn't announced, but the Knicks put out a statement saying that, which they didn't have to, but they put out a statement saying that they were still looking and still searching for a president, because the news leaked early, which they didn't have to do, but. Steve Mills was fired. So that was February. That was February the 4th. And then on February the 6th, Marcus Morris was traded. All right, Marcus Morris was traded to the Los Angeles Clippers for Maurice Harkless. First round, the Los Angeles Clippers first round draft pick, 2020 first round draft pick, and a second round draft pick, and the rights to swap in whatever year. Right. So then that happened on February the 6th, right there at the trade deadline. Marcus Morris was traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. And then Steve Stoute. Now, we already knew that Steve Stoute was hired. But then Steve Stoute goes on ESPN and embarrasses himself and embarrasses the New York Knicks.
Thank you. Your first PR move.
Your first PR move. Like, you
we're not muted.
are...
Oh, my bad, too.
Huh?
Sorry, I thought we were muted. My bad.
No. You're live. The first PR move. Like, you are the public relations dude. And you don't have enough sense. And, there are people called up and tried to defend him, and I just couldn't understand how they were defending Steve Stoute. Right? I understand that he's, he got on there. They were like, oh, he came up, and the guy's probably listening. He'll probably call in. Right? But, there was, he was like, hey, Steve, he went up there as a fan. He's speaking from a fan's point of view. It's like, that's cool and all. But at that point, you're not a fan anymore. I mean, you can be a fan behind closed doors, but in the public, you gotta be corporate now. You know what I'm saying? So you can't get up there and speak as a fan. You gotta get up there and you gotta have a plan of what you're going to say. And as a public relations specialist, if he's the person in charge of public relations, he had to know that ESPN is the arch nemesis of the New York Knicks and what's going to happen if he goes on there to talk about the Knicks. And be prepared and be ready. And he was not ready. He was not ready whatsoever. I don't even want to go back and listen to the interview. The interview is like, what, an hour long? Was it an hour long? 30 minutes long or something like 35 minutes, 40 minutes or something like that? We're obviously not going to go back and listen to that entire interview. But it was just ridiculous. As you can see, Steve Stoute has not spoken since. Nobody has come out and said anything to the media about anything going on for as it pertains to the New York Knicks, but Steve Stoute has not spoken about anything since then.
Steve Stoute has
Isaiah.
Bring Robinson.
I said, go ahead, Isaiah.
Black trim.
Oh, wait, Kaval, you wanted to go, Kaval?
Oh, I mean, if I could hop in real quick.
Yep, go ahead.
Do you think?
As a fan, just hopping in real quick, Steve Stoute has one job. Bring back those jerseys with the black trim in it. Those Knicks jerseys with the black trim. Bring that back. He got one job.
I like the black jerseys, though. I did like the black jerseys. They were hard.
I hate our current jerseys. Those like the ones with the I don't even know what to call it. I think they're called like just like new like Brick City or something like that, or the current ones that we have, the dark blue with.
Oh, you're talking about the city editions
with the checker pattern. I hate those current
the
ones.
The checkered pattern.
They're talking about the city. They're talking about the city edition ones.
The city edition ones. Okay.
But now, back to what I was saying about.
Yeah, go ahead, Isaiah.
Back to what I was saying about Steve Stoute, man. That was. Oh man, I remember texting Gamble that day. I was just like, what? I was just like, yo, what in the hell is going on? I'm like, Steve Stoute, this was so cringeworthy. I'm like, in Gilmore's voice, stick to music, bro. Like stick to music, bro. It's just like, man. And you know what, man? Sometimes I really feel bad for James Dolan because he gives these brothers chances. I mean, if there's one white man that gives black people chances, it is James Dolan. This brother gives more chances than the NCAA.
We about to turn them racist. We about to make them turn racist. He keep giving us chances, and we keep.
Like, yo, come on,
he about
bro.
To be like, come on, man.
Stoute,
I'm not dealing with these.
Has been in rap, and look, I only know Steve Stoute really from. I mean, I know about Steve Stoute, but his best moment to me was again "Street Dreams" remix by Nas when Nas shouts him out because it just calls him a Commissioner Steve Stoute. But when there was nothing Commissioner, Sergeant, Captain. There was no leadership whatsoever by going on a station who actively hates the Knicks. And you are not prepared. First of all, you're dumb enough to go in there. Or I would say the benefit that you're brazen enough to go in there. Right? But if you're brazen enough to go in there, you have to go in there and almost flip the script to make it seem like, all right, you guys have a certain narrative. I'm going to flip it and make the Knicks look good. I'm going to make this, at least the front of it, whatever. And you go on there and give them fodder to basically feed off of from the Knicks. And you put a man's job in if I was, and you talked about this, Sim, you talked about that little event they had with the sneaker thing, and you talked about, hey, they may have been, we don't know how Mike Miller addressed Steve Stoute. Maybe there was this, maybe that, we don't know. Mike Miller, salute to Mike Miller. He is professional because I feel for a fact that doesn't make sense. Feel for a fact, but I feel strongly that if that was some other coaches, not just saying, oh, it was black. I feel like if that was Greg Popovich, say that was Phil Jackson, say that was one of these top-notch coaches and they were on the hot seat, and some idiot like Steve Stoute comes in and does that, they would have went at him like, yo, bro, who the hell you think you are, bro, with your weird ears and your weird, like, bro, get out of here with that crap, bro. No, I'm just only joking, but bro, you don't come in there and you put another, because think about this, Mike Miller's coming in, you have no idea what things he set up for him and his family. Maybe he might be thinking, hey, this might be, I can maybe stay in New York. You don't know. Maybe he has other coaching staff who might be like, hey, Mike, we don't know if we might stay with you or we might go to college, because that's how it works. A lot of times you kind of hop onto different regimes or whatever. You might go back to college because you have a better situation. So they might be like, all right, hey, and then now Mike Miller, he may have a little encampment of coaches, and then you also kind of kill his integrity, or not his integrity, the credibility of what he's trying to build in terms of his coaches. Now they're looking like, you staying around. And now Mike Miller's saying, it's not like he fired himself or resigned. He's staying around here. Some of his talented players, there might have been a guy there might be another Brad Stevens who might be doing his scouting, who might be like, hey, I know you're not going to be here next year, so I'm just going to go to another team. And now it's a guy that might have grew from the Mike Miller tree. Or we have guys scouting, or, you know what I mean? So Steve Stoute, man, the damage that he's done, we don't see it on the surface. But in terms of credibility, people's jobs, the things they're trying to build in terms of coaching staffs and all that stuff, he did a lot of damage to it. And again, as much as I respect certain guys from rap, whatever, he has to stick back to music, because I don't know what he put on his resume, but I know he wasn't fit for the job once he did that. And then he got the next guy to come out and make another statement on top of that.
Yeah, is he the one who made those Bed-Stuy uniforms for the Nets?
Oh my Lord! Did he?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I hope he better not make any of those for the Knicks. That's all I got to say.
He's gonna put what, Connecticut? He's gonna put like a whole other state or something. Because for people who are not from Brooklyn or not from New York, no one cares about Connecticut, I say. But if for people who are not from Brooklyn, New York, Bed-Stuy, essentially the Barclays Center is in what you'll call Fort Greene or Fort Greene Extension, Flatbush Extension. That area, you'll call it Fort Greene, whatever. Fort Greene and Bed-Stuy, if you know about Brooklyn, they don't like each other. Well, pre-gentrification, right? They don't like each other, right? So it's like if someone said DC or PG County, they'd be like, those are two different neighborhoods. Even though they are in Brooklyn, they are relatively close to each other. But anybody living from that area who knows about Brooklyn, they wouldn't be like, well, they don't play in Bed-Stuy. Why would they put Bed-Stuy? So again, that's Steve Stoute. He doesn't know anything. Like, he's just not. And he's from New York, or I think he's from New York. I'm assuming he's from.
I think he's from New York.
So it's a guy who he has no wherewithal of like.
Well, I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was Steve Stoute or not. I'm just asking. But anyway, the Knicks had to. He did such a bad job that the Knicks had to put out a statement.
Oh my God!
They had to put out a statement to cover up his mistakes.
Why don't they just hire the guy who made the statement? Why don't
exactly.
PR guy.
Let me see.
Let me read the statement. This is from the New York Knicks.
You know what's wild is that the Knicks PR has been historically bad. The Knicks, the existing PR staff that puts out those horrible press releases, everything, they don't. It's weird. They put out press releases at times.
Oh, we're gonna get to that, Kavon. We're gonna get to that.
You want your conference, or you want something else, and they put out these horrible statements. I definitely want to lay blame at the feet of Steve Stoute for what he said, but somebody booked that interview. I'm sure Steve Stoute didn't just wake up and, text on some Spike Lee stuff like, hey, I'm coming to the studio. The Knicks PR must have set that up. And, hopefully Leon Rose understands that he got a clean house, because the Knicks PR has been historically bad. So,
man, I don't know. I mean, who knows how it works? If he's the public relations guy, then, maybe James Dolan said, okay, I'm going to give you the authority to, set up this and set up that. I don't know. Maybe he did, but this is what the Knicks public relations team put out. This is from James Dolan. It said, statements from the New York Knicks and Steve Stoute. From the New York Knicks. While Steve Stoute is a valued contributor to the Knicks marketing and branding efforts, he does not speak on behalf of the New York Knicks personnel and basketball operations. Any decisions regarding the operations of the team will be made by the new president of the New York Knicks. From Steve Stoute. In my excitement to defend the Knicks on live TV today, I inadvertently insinuated about Knicks personnel. I look forward to working with Knicks management to elevate the great Knicks branding moving forward. The great Knicks brand moving forward. So that's what they had to put out, to cover up.
Lionel Florida, it had a good point. He said they should hire Mike Miller on how to do interviews, or they should learn from Mike Miller on how to handle interviews. Because Mike Miller, salute to Mike Miller. People may not like him, whatever, but the guy's professional as hell. We said it the first game he was here, when he had the chalkboard or the little mini. He looks like a coach, even if, and people talk about the PR stuff. James Dolan is an idiot, right? Because if the Knicks win, your PR sells itself. If you win, you don't need to do all this we're going to hire this person for PR. You're going to hire Joe Schmo. If you are winning, no one cares how cheesy you are. No one cares what you can have Nim or Mims come back and sing "This Is How I'm Hot." No one would care because you're winning. We think James Dolan cares too much about the image of the Knicks versus the actual team. So graveyard.
Mims must have been on
Mims. Mims was corny.
Mims must have been on his mind since we did the front stoop the other night. Because when we were listening to some independent music, somebody was like, "Is this Mims?" So it must have stayed on his mind. It must have stayed on his mind from the front stoop.
Hey, Sim. I'm gonna just say this, man. Though, what Gabriel said, man. If you win, man, listen, you can listen. For the best example, the Patriots, they got a guy that killed somebody. Do we talk about it? No, because they win. I'm just using the extreme, but man, when you win, man, a lot of this stuff nobody cares about. Like, I promise you, if the Knicks start winning, they can hire you, me, Guillermo. We could be the 3 black coaches, and they don't care as long as we win. We can sell bucket hats with your face on it. They don't care as long as we win. I just had it. Okay. Here we go. Hey Sim, can we start with the Rockets game and then go to the fiasco? Because I at least want to start the good note. Because I know that's where we're going next. Can we start with the Rockets game and then go to that fiasco?
You said, that's where we're going next. That's definitely where we're going next. But that's not where we're going next. We're not going there next. No. We're not going there yet. All right. So the next thing is Leon Rose is officially hired. That was on March 2nd. All right. Leon Rose was officially hired by the Knicks on March 2nd. Which was okay. So, I mean, we're getting there though. We're like right there. Okay.
Can we talk about the media reception to Leon Rose? Was that like a positive reception? Was it a negative reception? Because
I think that was a mystery, man. To be honest, people. Finish, Sam. I know y'all finished.
Yeah. Let me finish this up first. We'll get to it. So, Leon Rose was hired March 2nd as the president of the New York Knicks. All right, and this is the statement that was put out by Leon Rose. It says, "Dear Knicks fans, I want to take this moment to introduce myself and tell you how proud I am to oversee this historic franchise as president of the New York Knicks. This is a pivotal time in Knicks history. So I want to let you know what you can expect from me and our organization moving forward. Having been fortunate enough to be part of professional basketball for more than 25 years, I've had the privilege of helping to shape the careers of many incredible athletes throughout those decades, collaborating with key decision makers and personnel within the basketball universe. In my career as an agent, I experienced the intricacies of the league, player recruitment, and most importantly, how to develop relationships, unity, and team cohesiveness. To be successful in the NBA, you need the best talent, a tireless work ethic, a winning culture, and a total commitment to the development of both the individual and the team. I know that the ability to forge solid, productive relationships is what binds all that together. For the remainder of the season, I will work tirelessly behind the scenes while evaluating every aspect of the organization. Most immediately, we will support Mike Miller, his staff, and our team, who have plenty of basketball left to be played this season. At least they thought they did. I want to thank Mike for his continued leadership and professionalism during this period. Our team has young talent, significant future assets, including 7 first-round picks over the next 4 years, and an ample amount of financial flexibility in the coming years. Everyone, from the ownership to athletes to staff, and especially our fans, wants this team to be a winner. We will have all the resources necessary to create a great organization, one that supports our efforts to build a winning culture and gives Knicks fans and the city of New York the team you deserve. Nothing about this is easy or quick, so I ask for your continued patience. What I promise you in return is that I will be honest and forthright. We will develop a plan that makes sense, both to jumpstart our short-term growth and ensure our long-term success. Our team will work hard, stick together, and ensure we live up to the honor of wearing the New York Knicks jersey. While I realize that there have been difficulties on the court, what has been remarkable to me is that your pride remains so strong, your loyalty undiminished. Rest assured, I will do everything I can to create a winning organization. I look forward to seeing you at the Garden. Leon Rose, president. So that right there, ladies and gentlemen, was the statement that Leon Rose put out while he was hired. Now, he put that statement out, but obviously he didn't make a, he didn't do a press conference or anything. Like I said, we haven't seen a press conference or heard anything from the Knicks front office since Steve Mills and Scott Perry hijacked that press conference. All right, so what was your reaction to Leon Rose? Well, one second. Hold 1 second, Isaiah. 1 second. Go ahead. What was your reaction to Leon Rose?
The reaction was like, we pretty much found out about him way before March. I think we found out like a couple of days after Steve Mills got fired that it was going to be Leon Rose. The statement was good. The statement was very it was good. I thought it was. He explained he acknowledged that we have draft picks and flexible cap. We got cap space, and that I like that he is behind the scenes a lot. Like, I'll be honest, I don't think any of us knew who Leon Rose was before March. Before whenever Steve Mills got fired, we didn't know who he was. But then you learn some things. You learn that he represented LeBron, Frank Ntilikina, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, all these guys. So. He must be trustworthy. All these athletes, before all of them got woke. Shout out to Gamero. They had Leon Rose. They trusted Leon Rose. So, I wholeheartedly do think that he can be good. because I think he's more of a behind the scene guy, and he focuses more on that and doesn't really want the limelight, which again, I think that's really good. I think he'll speak when he needs to speak, and then when he doesn't, I think that's even more important. When he doesn't need to speak, he won't speak. So,
okay, so let me ask you this, though. How did you feel about two things? This is for everybody. One, how did you feel about the fact that he did not come on as the Knicks president until he completed organizing Dwayne Wade's retirement party or whatever it was? And then two, how did you feel about the fact that he did not hold a press conference and he just wrote a letter?
One, well, I'll go, I guess, on first. For me, the Dwayne Wade party, I mean, I respect it. I guess he wanted to, I'm going to assume that was prior to him getting the job. So I guess he wanted to honor doing it I guess it meant a lot to him. I guess him and Dwayne have a good relationship. So he wanted to finish that first and focus on the party rather than trying to do two things at once, I guess. And yeah. And then for him not doing a press conference, I'm actually fine with him not doing it. Some people have a problem with it. I'm fine with it because, I mean, he's going to say the most vanilla stuff anyway, pretty much. And I don't think he's really going to say anything that's going to be like, wow, that was something we never heard before. I'm comfortable with him not doing the interview. I'm comfortable with him not doing a press conference. It's whatever.
All right. Guillermo?
I wasn't too high on the hire per se, and the reasons you meant, the press I don't really care about, but the whole Dwayne Wade thing. Look, I'm a Mets fan, and we have a GM right now. Our owners are broke, but the GM is a former agent, and I think he's had a mixed performance, and I just don't like agents for a team that needs structure building. And I think that's what the Knicks needed. They needed a guy to come in to build a proper structure. If you're talking about cleaning house, right? Look, it's an agent, right? So their strength is going to be what? Player personnel, right? But you're talking about a team in the Knicks where players don't want to come here, not because, it's a crap city. It's New York. They don't want to come here because the organization is trash. So what do you do with trash? You try to sweep it up and clean it up and make sure trash doesn't continue to come down. And we needed a proper guy to rebuild the infrastructure of the Knicks. We needed a GM that was going to do it. I'm not saying Leon Rome's not going to do that. So obviously, I'm giving him I have to give him his lead. I don't have a choice. But, I objected to it because, he took, to me, I would think that a guy who's heady about the job, who wants the job, wants to come in and fix things, he's coming in, he's surveying the land, looking at what he can improve, what he's going to keep. And he's doing that right off the bat. And it's also just to make an impression like, hey, guys, I'm not here to throw parties or, I'm not here to just bring players on and we're going to have a funnel party. Your job's on the line, as I assess everything, right? They should have that feeling like, oh, this guy's no joke. He's coming to clean up. And I just, I'm not saying he's not going to do that, but, he didn't give me a good impression with the whole Dwayne Wade thing. And look, the fact that he's a former agent, and then the fact that Worldwide West is not coming with him, what does that say? I don't know. It might not be anything to it, or there might be something to it. It just, if you're coming with a play agent, he better bring all of his best weapons. You think that he would want to do it. They all want to take that embarkment with him to, hey, we're going to build the Knicks, rebuild the Knicks, blah, blah. Some guys might be like, yeah, I'm going to keep my old job or I'm going to remain an agent. And it might look like, hey, that we think that this guy's taking the job for the money. Like, he don't really care about rebuilding Knicks. He's just taking a glamour job, puts it on his resume, comes back and gets, clients again whenever he's done with his Knicks job. That's the worst case scenario, obviously. But, again, to me, I just feel mixed on it. So I'm going to wait and see. But, yeah.
Yeah. Kevon?
Yeah. For me, I'm actually, so that's kind of new information for me that he had to finish out Dwayne Wade's retirement party before joining. And I actually kind of like that because that shows me that, this is somebody who understands what players want. And he knows players' real lives. As an NBA player, he understands the off season. He understands in season. He understands, players' lives, and he has that relationship already. So to me, that's a positive thing. The whole press conference, not having it, I'm cool with that because we're going to get we're going to get press conferences this summer. I feel like that matters a lot more what he's talking about in the summer. I think that's when we're going to get to hear and understand what he wants to do. About Leon Rose particularly, I'm a little mixed on it. I'm a little concerned as well because to me it's about direction. Which direction are the Knicks going? I believe they need to continue building with the young guys. Need to like Leon Rose has a lot of big names in terms of players that he represented. I don't want to see the Knicks start trying to go for Hail Marys again. I don't want us to start falling in love with big names, again. I think that we got that shit got to end. Like last summer, I was surprised when, after all this talk of doing it the right way, after we traded KP and opened up cap space, the rest of those following months in the season was all about Kyrie and KD. I hated that. I didn't like how Steve Mills allowed that narrative that the Knicks are going all in for Kyrie and KD, because I felt like that set the bar up real high. And we understand when it comes to the Knicks, the bar is always going to be set way higher than what's actually possible. So my concern when it comes to Leon Rose today, and my concern with the hire, is maybe James Dolan, looked at all the players that Leon Rose represents, and he's starting to get that his eyes are starting to get big again. He's starting to get greedy again. When we know these Hail Mary teams don't come, signing 3 stars or whatever, it very rarely works out. I want to stay committed to the youth. I want to grow with RJ, Mitch, Frank as the core. That's my concern. I just don't want to see us go for another Hail Mary.
My big concern, and I'm looking to see who he hires as a GM, if he sticks with Scott Perry or if he hires somebody else. My biggest concern is this, that, and I've talked about it before, you got to be able to have a stable and structured organization. I don't care who you bring in, you know what I'm saying? And you can bring in whoever you want. You can bring in stars, you can do whatever. But you're not going to build something that's going to last the test of time if you don't have a good structure behind it. You know what I mean? If you don't know what your organizational values are and the standards that you go by, then when you bring somebody in, you're going to let them bend. You're going to let them kind of do whatever they want because you don't have any standards. So you're going to fit your standards around these so-called star players. You know what I mean? It's the reason why Pat Riley can be successful, continues to be successful in Miami and develop these teams sometimes out of nothing, it seems like, because he has standards and he doesn't let people bend those standards or step outside of those standards, no matter if you're LeBron James or if you're Mario Chalmers. You know what I'm saying? These are the standards. You're going to stick with these standards. If you don't like it, then I guess you got to rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like even if you bring in stars, you might win for a little while, but it's not going to last, in my opinion, because eventually it's going to break down. Right. So March 4th, March 2nd, the Knicks hired Leon Rose. That night, they played the Houston Rockets at the Garden.
Here we go.
Okay? They played the Rockets at the Garden, and they balled out. Isaiah, I know you wanted to jump in and talk about that, so go ahead.
Well, Sim, they hired the Italian stallion, your man, your head next to you. If you're the Don, then he's Michael. Shout out to Godfather. But you know what? The Houston Rockets played the Knicks. We all thought, oh man, it's the Rockets. They're gonna blow us out. But no, Simeon. The Knicks came out, played hard. The young guys played. RJ Barrett had his coming out party. His coming out party for the world to see. Dropped 27 points on James Harden's head. Scored the game-winning basket. Crowd goes crazy. Then at the end of the game, Frank Ntilikina, Frankie Smokes, the French Prince, locks up Russell Westbrook. clanks the shot. We win. Everybody's happy. Scott Perry, Steve Mills, they're hugging. We're
You mean
excited.
Scott Perry and Leon
Come on,
Rose? Come on, man. You can't bring us back there. You said you can't bring us back there.
Bring us back what?
You said Scott Perry and Steve Mills.
Oh, Scott Perry and Leon Rose, they're hugging out. Everybody's excited. The Garden feels like a freaking playoff game. I mean, we come on the chat. We're all excited. We just all want to talk about R.J. Barrett and how he's finally, this was the signature game for him to come out. And then it happens then. I want you to go to this part now.
Huh? Go ahead.
You can finish the rest.
I can finish the rest. I mean,
It just gets depressing after this.
Oh boy, Spike.
Yeah. But let's finish talk about that. Let's enjoy ourselves just a little bit more and finish talking about that.
Oakley? You like Oakley?
Can I break down the story then, Sim? A little bit?
Go ahead, man. Break it down.
Yeah, so this idiot Spike Lee, they've been telling this guy, yo, bro, you need to use the VIP entrance, right? For how long? I don't know. They say they've been telling him for weeks or months or whatever. Security does that. So he tries to go in. He goes into work through how the workers get in. Gets up. The security guards gets him and say, hey, Spike, you need to basically reuse your card or your ticket in the VIP entrance. He's like, well, I already swiped or whatever. And it's like, well, it's just protocol because, blah, blah, blah. So they had that whole hassle. He had to go through the VIP entrance. Was it halftime, Isaiah, if I'm right or wrong? Where he's seen, they take pictures of him. Halftime. All dapping up with Dolan, his man or whatever, and everything. It seems to be somewhat of a non-issue, or at least it's been settled out. Next morning, this guy goes up to ESPN and gives this cockamamie story about how he was harassed at MSG, how he's been going there for however many years. He spent $10 million total in tickets, and he can't believe the audacity and how they've never told him. He's always been using all this stuff, and it's like the Knicks had to come out with a statement. Well, they didn't have to, but they came out with a statement basically refuting all the facts, saying that they've been telling for weeks to do this and blah blah, and it's for safety precautions. So basically a huge cluster F of the Knicks protocol, whatever, being questioned, and then on the other side, Spike Lee coming out like it's loving hip hop or whatever, and crying like a little bi to the ESPN about truly a non-story. The same Spike Lee who talked about, he talks about rights and all stuff, and always talking about the little man and fighting for the people, but he's coming out as this rich, privileged idiot who basically can't heed instructions and understand. You are going through a worker's entrance. This is a $1 billion corporation. If something happens because security is lax, you will not pay for those people. You're not going to pay restitution. You're not going to pay for any damages. You're not going to pay for the lost jobs. It's going to be on the Knicks. They can't
and let's
play
see.
around, mess around. So
I got this video going. Let's see if we can hear Spike Lee in this video.
That's real like you did ugly.
Let's see if I can get it.
But no one told me. No one told me. I'm staying here. Now, you want to arrest me like Charles Oakley? Go the fuck that. Come on. Oh, you arrest me like shut your hands on my back like Oakley?
Yeah.
You hear? Like Oakley?
But no one told me. No one told me.
Listen to him again, because no one told me.
I'm staying here. Now, you want to arrest me like Charles Oakley? Go the fuck that. Come on. Oh, you arrest me like shut your hands on my back like Oakley?
And see, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the New York Knicks for you, right? That's the New York Knicks. So all of this happens within a time span, folks, of 24 hours. You have not even 24 hours within a time span. 16 to 24 hours. You hire Leon Rose. You finally put out a statement that you've hired Leon Rose. That night, you have a big win over the Houston Rockets. Your star rookie, he shines. We're having 27 points, hits the game-winning basket. Another one of your young players plays great defense and locks down Russell Westbrook. Everything feels good. And then the next night, or the next morning, Spike Lee is on First Take. So some of the rumors started coming out, right? They started coming out that, Spike Lee was kicked out of the Garden and all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And people like, I remember when I was on the stream and people were saying, yeah, Spike Lee was kicked out the Garden. I didn't know what was happening, so I didn't really comment on it because I didn't know what was going on. And then afterwards, I kind of forgot. I just went to sleep, right? And then the next day, I think Isaiah hits me up and he's like, you seeing this? And so I go and I check it out. And I got First Take basically on rewind, record it, you know what I mean, so that I can, go check it out if there's anything that I want to watch. And there I see Spike Lee with the big orange glasses on.
Oakley?
Right? Big orange glasses on with a New York Knicks Christmas hat. I mean, I rock one of those sometimes too, so I can't say too much about that. But I don't be rocking them big orange glasses. On there, screaming and crying that he feels like he's being harassed by the New York Knicks, by James Dolan and the New York Knicks. Being harassed because they asked him to get this, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And you guys already know. They asked him to use the VIP entrance. They said, hey, Spike, you can't use the staff and media and the entrance for those who are disabled because we need to be able to push those who may be in a wheelchair through this entrance and let our media in through this entrance and a place for our employees to go so that they can get to their positions so that they can serve you better. So we need to keep this a little bit more, we need to keep this clear. So can you please use the VIP entrance for very important persons or very important people? Can you please use that entrance? And he's upset about it. I didn't hear about this. It doesn't matter. Even if you didn't hear about it, who cares? It doesn't matter. Just do what the man said. You have no authority there, Spike. No matter how long you've paid for tickets, no matter how much you've paid for tickets, you have no authority. So go do what the man asks. That's all. It really was not. It was so crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was so crazy. And I was like, I'm not doing a video on this because it was just buffoonery, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Just straight up buffoonery. Was
Sim,
dumb.
he dapped him up though. But like Sim,
yes.
Like I said, if you have beef with somebody in your neighborhood, whatever, right? And you guys settle or you had a talk. That's the best way. We talk about this all the time. We don't do this enough in this. And he's from he's from Fort Greene, Brooklyn, right? And he's from the bad Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Killer Ben, all those people. So he knows, hey, if we talk as men and we settle it, it is done. We're not going to go and gossip to other people. No, if somebody like, yo, what's good with you? And say him and James Dolan were beefing on the streets. Yo, what's good with you and James? All right, we good, fam, we good. So now even all your mans are good. All right, we good. And his mans are, all right, we ain't going to. But you went out like a little BI. And you complained and this is what I don't like. All these people that call themselves fans of the Knicks. Look, I'm not a fan of Dolan, but I love the Knicks. I'm not a fan of like KP or anybody who leaves the Knicks, but I love the Knicks. So if I love the team, I love the history. I don't care of the people who are running it per se. Like I don't care for their. So, but him and Oakley have done this. Spike Lee has said, "Oh, when he mentioned the Nets, oh, I'm considering it. Oh, that might sound nice." And Oakley last year I forgot what he said exactly, but he was basically campaigning saying how the Nets are better than the Knicks. Well, you know what, guys? How about you idiots take the leap and go to the Nets? Because say what you want about Dolan. Dolan didn't create the Knicks. Dolan did not create the moments that we all love about the Knicks. He didn't create Allen Houston making that shot against Miami Heat. He didn't create those Knicks teams of the early 90s or early in the mid 90s who died. He didn't play on those teams. He didn't create the championship teams of the 70s. So we don't attribute the Knicks to James. We don't attribute those memories to James Dolan. But if they want to keep him, start meddle and talk about switching over to different teams and that stuff, go ahead. Because you know why? Look, to me, I'm a soccer fan. I'm a Manchester United fan. In soccer, they take their sports seriously, at least overseas. They don't talk about, I'm going to switch over to this team, blah, blah, blah. And I think as Knicks fans, I'm not saying we become hooligans, but we should not be. If you're a true Knicks fan, you don't sit here and say, I'm going to go to the Nets Nets team. I'm going to go to the Mavericks, and do all that crap because you want to make a name for yourself. Remember that so-called Knicks fan who became a Lakers fan?
Right.
And he tried to come in and justify it. And look where he is now. No one cares what he's doing. Who's his fandom? He doesn't even live in LA. You know what I mean? So if Spike and Oakley want to do that, calling the Knicks a plantation, all that stuff, like I said, there's a conspiracy, in my opinion, there's a conspiracy to get James Dolan out. And as much as I don't like James Dolan, the way you're going about it, using things like plantation and these little buzzwords or whatever, remember, the same way they got James Dolan out could be the same way they try to put things on you. Which is in a very corrupt and a very messed up way. So even though I want James Dolan out, I don't like the way they're going about it. Because now ESPN is pushing this. They had another segment like last week or 2 weeks ago. What we have to do something about the Knicks. Who's we? Who's we have to do something about anything? This is his team. Let him do. If he wants to run his team the way he wants to, he runs the team the way he wants to. Because all I know, all those woke people on ESPN, all these people, Jamel Hill's on, I'm not saying she's coming to the Knicks. All these people that preach all that woke stuff, I put money on it. The Golden State Warriors would not hire Mark Jackson, but James Dolan might hire him or might hire you. And y'all talk about all this stuff on James Dolan, but hey, he's hired a bunch of black people, and he's hired a bunch of unqualified black people. So y'all can say and talk all this mess, but the concerted effort there is to get him out with all this Spike Lee and Oakley stuff. I don't like it, man. It ain't kosher. Get him out the proper way, which is if you don't like it, don't go to the games, don't give him money. But all this other stuff is hogwash. It's corny.
Nah, I feel you. And then, after Spike Lee goes on ESPN and, does what he does and, and screams and hollers and cries and makes all these sounds.
James harassing me.
Right? James Dolan is harassing me, blah, 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 blah. Right? The New York Knicks put out their own statement. Okay? They put out their own statement because, he said that he didn't shake James Dolan's hand when James Dolan came and spoke to him at halftime and all this kind of stuff, right? So this is what the Knicks said. The idea that Spike Lee is a victim because we have repeatedly asked him to not use our employee entrance and instead use a dedicated VIP entrance, which is used by every other celebrity who enters the Garden, is laughable. It's disappointing that Spike would create this false controversy to perpetuate drama. He is welcome to the Garden anytime through the VIP or general entrance, just not through our employee entrance, which is what he and Jim agreed to last night when they shook hands. Now, remember, Spike Lee said that they didn't shake hands. Spike Lee, said that when James Dolan came and spoke to him, he said, "Hey, James, I didn't know about this." And James was like, "Well, you do now." Right? This is like lower than high school stuff. So then the New York Knicks, they show a picture of the entrance. Right? You see at 8 Penn Plaza, the entrance for employees, media, and patrons with disabilities only. Okay, so they show that entrance. Right? That's outside of the Garden. This is the entrance. This is where Spike Lee wanted to go. Right? Instead of the VIP entrance. And then they show a picture of Spike Lee and James Dolan shaking hands at halftime of the game. All right? All of this.
Hey, Sim, can I say something, Sim? Can I say something?
All of this the day after the Knicks had a very, very good win against the Houston Rockets. Our prized rookie, showed out, won the game for the Knicks. Another one of our young guys had a very good game. What can you do, man? All of this, and what do you think Leon Rose is thinking? Like, I just stepped through the door. I just stepped through the door.
Hey, Sim, how about this? Everybody's scared about the coronavirus thing, right? And look at what Rudy Gobert, all the flack he's getting, right? Imagine if Spike Lee was known to have the coronavirus and he wanted to get in through the workers' wing, and you know what I mean? And then what would have been the uproar? Like, ESPN is making it seem like Spike Lee is in the right. They say here, Max Kellerman, he comes up with his little, to talk to black people, he always has to talk in like rap rhymes for some reason.
Like the notorious B.I.G. once said.
Right, and they're all woke, but literally they're sitting here trying to get on James Dolan about a privileged fan, and just because you pay the tickets to go to your seat, you do not pay the tickets to go through the stadium or the arena like you own it. This one, like, he's acting like a privileged idiot. The same guy that was getting an argument with Michael Rappaport about gentrification in his old neighborhood, but now he wants to play the victim as he sounds like a spoiled old rich lady. And it's just sad because it's like, bro, you dapped him up. You are a decorated fan. The Knicks love you, or the Knicks fans love you. You sat it through thick and thin, whatever. Why are you doing this now, bro? And you went to the worst station that wants to tear us down. Put like this, okay, something happens to the Knicks, they sell out. What if the new owner doesn't give you what if the other stars that want that seat and he gives them preference? And now you have to sit with the commoners. Or say you go over to the Nets and a new owner comes and they're like, nah, fam, we ain't, if you want to pay, you could maybe, but we have other people we have on the list. So you did all this for what, bro? We all mad. All Knicks fans are mad, bro, but you didn't have to do this, Spike. And we love Malcolm X. That's one of my favorite movies. Do the right thing, man. But you sit, and from those movies, it seems like you had messages about humility. Why don't you exhibit that in your own life? Why don't you do that, bro? Because this ain't it. You're rich. Come on, man. Come on, Spike. And Charles Oakley, bro, like, no offense, bro. You need, get help. Get help, because you're a blowhard. Because I remember when you talking all that trash at Kenyon Martin, and when Kenyon Martin was like, yo, come see me on the court for that Big 3 stuff, you didn't want to play. So Charles Oakley, you know what he does. He talks a lot. And let's be honest, look, I'm not a fan of James Dolan, but if you're a drunk dude at my stadium and you're only a few feet from me and you're just talking trash all the time in a drunken manner, I would probably tell you that, hey, you got to get the hell out of your seat because you're being a nuisance. Now, if you want to sit there and cheer and chant, whatever, but knowing Charles Oakley, how drunk he could get and that stuff is like, come on, bro. And if it's a plantation, when he said the plantation remark, bro, like I said, we could go back to many of the ancestors, whatever, and ask them, hey, would you have rather been in Jamaica? Would you rather been in Dominican Republic? Would you rather been in the US of A? Would you rather been under Arabic slavery? Or would you rather been courtside seats with the Knicks? 1,000 out of 10 of those ancestors would have said, bro, if you ask me that stupid question, I'll kill you myself. Why the hell would I not want to be on courtside tickets with the Knicks? So I'm saying we got to be careful of people using race and using all this stuff, because, again, when the real stuff goes down, I don't remember Charles Oakley out there with the people, working with the people to try to make things better. But you want to use a plantation remark when it fits you and suits you for courtside tickets at a Knicks game. Awareness and perspective. We need that, man.
Yeah, and we had a whole discussion on the front stoop about that whole plantation thing too. But go ahead, Isaiah.
Beautifully said, Guillermo. Beautifully said. Again, man, Spike Lee. I mean, wow. It just talking about it sounds so stupid. The fact that he was told this months in advance, and I'm sorry, Spike, you can't use the wheelchair accessibility, but you can use the VIP entrance. Oh, I'm sorry. That's, Jesus Christ, that's slave. That's a plantation for sure. And then, you have James. See, people got to put this in perspective. You have James Dolan, who's a billionaire. He comes up to you. He talks to you and has like, Spike, we got to talk. And what do you do? And, I want to say something, but it's your main channel. But what does he do? He acts like a little child. He pouts. I don't want to talk right now. Like, you're a grown ass man. And then you shook his hand. Everybody, come on. As a man to man, we talk, we shake hands. It's over, right? It's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's done. Yeah. And then You do that, and then what do? You text you text your girlfriend, Stephen A. Smith. We got to talk tomorrow. Let's meet up. And then like you go on ESPN, and then you do all this stuff. You rile up. You wearing big orange glasses or whatever, and then it's like you go through this whole speech. I know Dave DeBuscher and Phil Jackson, and me and my dad did this in 1968. I'm just like, dude, you're just talking about a whole bunch of nothing. It's about a seat. It's about you going from one entrance, like Guillermo was saying. God forbid the Knicks security doesn't do their job. They're fired. You don't care. You're not going to give them money. Are you going to pay the rest of their salary for the year to cover their cost? No. So again, you're sounding like a childish spoiled brat. Like you just showed your true colors.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And then with this whole Charles Oakley thing, I mean, look up his history, man. Just look up his history. You don't even need to talk no more. This dude is a drunk. We all love Charles Oakley, the player, but as a person, he's an a-hole. Let's just make that very clear. We love Charles Oakley, the player, but as a person, he's come on now. Just look at his history. That's all you have to say. For him to even try to dare compare slavery to an arena, I mean.
Yeah, and I don't even.
It sounds crazy.
Yeah, I don't even want to dive deep into it. You know what I'm saying? People can go see what we talked about on the front stoop. I don't want to dive deep into it and get into it here because that's a big, long, deep conversation. I thought both Spike Lee and James Dolan were both Spike Lee and the Knicks. I mean, I understand the Knicks the Knicks asked them, hey, just go through this entrance right here. And Spike Lee, didn't, he reacted just crazy, overreacted. But then the Knicks, I understand that they wanted to try to quell it, and say, hey, you know what? Here's what happened. I would have kind of just been like, put something out and say, hey, Spike can use the VIP entrance anytime he wants to. He is not banned from the Garden. We just don't want him to use the such and such entrance, and that's it. When they said, to say da-da-da-da is laughable and blah, 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 I thought, they didn't really have to do that, and they showed all those pictures. They could have just said Spike Lee can use this entrance anytime he wants to. He's always welcomed at the Garden. We value having Spike Lee there. He's been a loyal fan for years and years and years, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. It's crazy. And that was just 2 days. You got 2 days of Knicks all over the media. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, between the two things happening, between Leon Rose getting hired finally, and then all of this with Spike Lee, it overshadowed everything that RJ Barrett did. You know what I mean? Overshadowed it all. And then now this is just March 3rd. Now it's March 16th. Okay? Today is March 16th. It's March 16th, 1:13 a.m. A week and a half later, you got this coronavirus.
Don't say it, Sam.
outbreak.
Don't forget you can't say the word.
Huh?
Oh, don't say it, Sam. Don't say it, Sam.
You said I can't say the word.
Don't say it. You can't. They like your videos will get like flagged. It's some weird.
Yeah, exactly. If it's in the title, and then it won't be flagged. What they'll do is they'll say that you can't put ads on the video.
Well, just call it the bear virus.
Right?
That's what I've been hearing.
But you guys know what we're talking about.
That Batman.
You know what I'm saying? The NBA suspends the season. Because the NBA suspends the season because of the virus.
I laugh way too hard at that.
All right, the NBA suspends the season, and here's what really initiated the entire thing: Rudy Gobert, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the Knicks had just played the Utah Jazz not too long ago, and Rudy Gobert, while at his press conference, with everything going on with the outbreak, decides that he's going to touch the microphones. Okay, now, just before this happened, the Utah Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder, they were supposed to play a basketball game. right? Which was going to be a tight game because they're like 4 and 5 in playoff seedings, and they cannot play the game because one of their players has the virus, right? And so the game is canceled. All the fans were already at the game, and the game is canceled. And then afterwards, Rudy Gobert does this, not knowing that he is infected. Right? Not knowing that he's infected, he does that. And then once, he was tested and found out that he was infected, the NBA season was suspended. So the Knicks were in Atlanta playing the Hawks.
I think they're still in Atlanta, I think.
They may still be. No, I think that they were cleared. I think they were cleared. So the Knicks were in Atlanta playing the Hawks. And they won. They beat the Hawks that night. And players, weren't fully clear. It was kind of a weird, you talk about weird scenarios happening all season long. It was just another weird scenario where I'm watching the Knicks and the Hawks play, and I'm wondering with my wife, do the Knicks know? Do the Hawks know? You know what I'm saying? What are the players? What are the fans thinking? I'm pretty sure, you knew that they had gotten the message because the fans started chanting for Vince Carter to get his last shot or his last time on the court in the NBA because Vince Carter is going to retire this year. Right, so Vince Carter comes in the game, knocks down a 3, everybody cheers, and at that point, that all the players know that this could be the last game in the NBA for this season. So here we are. The NBA season suspended. Right, you got towns, you got schools shut down, you got city governments shut down. Right, you got players around the league that have been tested positive, right? And, so they've got to be quarantined. Teams have been quarantined. You got people all across the nation being quarantined. In the NBA season, we don't know, who knows what's going to happen with the NBA season. Right now, we're at March 16th. I think that they said it's going to be at least 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days.
At least 30 days. Right? So now we're talking about, if it's 30 days, we're talking about April the 16th.
I do my taxes.
Yeah, you better make sure you get them taxes done. We're talking about April the 16th, right? If you're talking about April the 6th, if they do come back around somewhere around April, then, they'll have a chance to, finish playing some games. Maybe they'll, they won't try to get all 82 games in. They'll let them play some games and then start on time. I don't think that it's going to be back around April because I think this thing is just at the tip of the iceberg as far as people testing positive. You know what I'm saying? So if it is at the tip of the iceberg of people testing positive, I don't see how they are going to allow, NBA games to be played with fans. I mean, it may happen without fans. Who knows?
I think the biggest thing would be, look, if they wait the so-called 30s or whatever, right, and you don't have people in the U.S. dying, right? The average age, I saw some stats where like the average age of the people who actually are dying from the disease is like 80, which is pretty high age, right? So you're talking about compromised immune systems and people who just can't handle even possibly the flu or, other sicknesses that most younger people could get over. So I'm thinking is that they're probably waiting to see, all right, look, if the people, Gobert, Tom Hanks, and all these so-called stars, not just the stars, but if a bunch of young people have it, maybe they go through a few little illnesses here and there, and they can control it. I think they may start out with basically empty arenas, but I think if it's in 30 days and you're not seeing a pandemic of people dying and, God forbid, some drastic event, I think they'll start it because, again, those TV contracts, man, regardless. I mean, unless it's where you have like a World War Z or something like that. Hey, if they're healthy, I think they'll have people playing again. Just because, hey, a lot of money. Look what happened to the UFC, right? And it's like, look, the UFC benefit of the fact that no other sports are playing, and these owners, these TV guys, they want that money, man. They will not.
No, I get it. I get it.
If
I
people are healthy,
understand.
if people are healthy, let me just.
I guess we'll have to see. In Italy, like today or yesterday, like 300 people died just yesterday on one day. But the outbreak there is like crazy. Millions of people have been tested positive in Italy. We don't know if it's going to be like that in the U.S., but I can guarantee you once a lot more people get tested, there's going to be a lot more people that come up and test positive, because there's been people, it's in the community now. There's been people who has been spreading it that didn't know that they had it. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't know that they have it.
Yeah.
So,
if I could back it up too, like this is a very serious, situation. So I'm not trying to belittle it at all, but if I could just back it up real quick and just be a fan for a moment, I was like very upset to see just the moment when, RJ had that game in Houston. You see Mitchell Robinson really settling into that role, not getting in foul trouble and having some big games, having some huge games. And then now you see Frank going off the dribble behind the back.
Yeah, he was aggressive.
10. He was getting some wiggle to his game, which is like something that we've been asking and looking for the past 3 years. It's very unfortunate that when all those things start to happen, this happens, so
right.
Hopefully they could, hopefully they have some type of regimen or whatever the situation is to keep that progress going. So I'm just backing it up and being a fan for a moment.
It wasn't Isaiah who said it. I think it was Isaiah when he was like, yeah, and of course, I mean, this would be the Knicks. This would happen to the Knicks where this guy, Donovan Mitchell, is talking about, yeah, man, giving, Leon Rose, it's like all these hints. And of course, bad luck. He has to get infected with I don't know if it'll affect us in terms of if he was coming, but it's just like, even the glimmer of hope of a guy who I think he wanted to come to the Knicks, and we just didn't draft him. And then he's still talking kindly about developments with the Knicks. And then, of course, out of all players, he gets it. I mean, it's just.
Hey, Sam, you know what's crazy? Oh, I'm sorry, Gilman.
Nah, go ahead.
You know what's crazy, which I was actually shocked about, Sam, was that Frank didn't get it. Because Rudy Gobert and Frank are really close. Also, him and Donovan Mitchell are really close. Like, that's one of Donovan's mans in the league.
Might be 8.
Yeah. Well, no, they've been safe. They've been tested and everything. So that's what I was really shocked about. I was like, man, I know Rudy and Frank are really close. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, I hope Frank doesn't get it. But then I remember that Donovan Mitchell and Frank are close too. So I'm like, oh crap, Frank might have it because they're both really close to him. So I'm just like, shoot. But I mean, from what you said, if they're safe to travel, then I guess they don't have it. But it's just
they just told him they could travel, right?
Yeah. So let me read a little bit from what the NBA put out. Okay. All right. So the first piece of communication that the NBA put out said this. And this was on March 11th, 5 days ago. The NBA announced that a player in the Utah Jazz has preliminarily tested positive for, you already know. All right, the test result was reported shortly prior, excuse me, to the tip-off of tonight's game between the Jazz and Oklahoma City Thunder at Chesapeake Energy Arena. At that time, tonight's game was canceled. The affected player was not in the arena. The NBA is suspending gameplay following the conclusion of tonight's schedule of games until further notice. The NBA, excuse me, I just had to clear my throat a little bit. The NBA will use this hiatus to determine next steps for moving forward in regard to the virus pandemic. And you guys know I'm not using the entire word because YouTube has some regulations that are out. I'm not going to go all into it, but that's the reason why. Okay. Now today, the NBA put out another piece of communication to say this. Not today, a couple days ago. It says, "Dear NBA fans, as you know, we have temporarily suspended our season in response to the virus pandemic. We made this decision to safeguard the health and well-being of fans, players, and everyone connected to our game and the general public. This hiatus will last at least 30 days, and we intend to resume the season if and when it becomes safe for all concerned. In the meantime, we will continue to coordinate with infectious disease and public health experts, along with government officials, to determine safe protocols for resuming our games. As we develop the appropriate course for future NBA games and events, we will keep you informed of any changes as soon as they happen. Tickets already purchased for a postponed game will be honored with the game when the game is rescheduled. If games are not played or played in empty arenas, teams will work with fans on a credit for future games or a refund. We encourage you to visit NBA.com for the latest news, updates, and interactive features to stay connected to the game. You will also find guidelines on how to keep yourself and family safe and healthy." Okay, this remains a complicated and rapidly evolving situation that reminds us that we are all part of a broader society with a responsibility to look out for one another. That is what the NBA will continue to do, and we are grateful for your understanding and for being the best fans in sports, and is signed by Adam Silver. All right, now that was a couple of days ago, and most recently, if I can find it, well, they put out a bunch of videos by players, talking about the corona, the virus and blah 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 blah. But they have made it, they have restricted, or not restricted, they've lifted the travel ban for players. So now players are able to travel. Okay, and I can't find where it is. Matter of fact, I think Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted it. So let me pull up Wojnarowski. Right, because Woj always has the information for the most part. All right, so this is what Woj tweeted earlier today. Let's see, NBA. Here we go. Reporting with. Okay, Adrian Wojnarowski. The CDC recommendation of no events of 50+ people for the next 2 months comes as a number of NBA owners and executives increasingly believe. Wait a minute. I still can't find the one that I'm looking for. But anyway, we know that the CDC has issued a recommendation of events of 50+ people for the next 2 months. No events of 50+ people for the next 2 months. All right. So now you're talking about, and this was today. So we're talking about April, May. Now we're talking about May 16th. You can't have events of more than 50 people. All right, so that comes as a number of NBA owners and executives increasingly believe a best case scenario is a mid to late June return to play with no fans. Leagues scouting for they're scouting for possible arena dates all the way through August. All right, so it looks like if it does come back, there's just not going to be fans there because they can't even come back together until May. The G League looks like the G League is just going to be done. So there we go. That's it, man. Now, so let's talk about the impact, because somebody called up earlier and asked a question about playoffs. And if the league does come back and the playoffs are to be played, right, and it doesn't come back, they don't come, but the playoffs aren't played until, let's say, August. That's going to impact the way the playoffs look a little bit, especially, I don't know if KD would be healthy enough, but I mean, if you're looking at August, KD could have been able to play in August. What if the playoffs are in August and KD is able to play?
So that means, isn't Kyrie out for the year?
Yeah, he had shoulder surgery.
Yeah, and I don't know when that is supposed to, when he's supposed to be healthy from that.
KD don't got the cojones to go play.
Because some of these guys, when they want to come back, they'll rush and they'll work. They miraculously could come back. So I'm just saying that Kyrie thing, that could be, maybe he doesn't come back, but I don't know. That KD thing could be fairly scary. KD, but then also, he's just getting back. You think they'll put him in such a pressurized situation? Obviously, he'll have some plays here and there. He'd be doing some other stuff, but
I would love to see when they do come back a 1 through 16 or even 1 through 32 March Madness style play-in like tournament. And I'm pretty sure that that's some of the stuff that Silver is talking about, because Silver has been trying his best to kind of tweak things, especially around the playoffs. So.
But you gotta see that tournament style wouldn't work because, you're talking about traveling and 1 through 16. That's not gonna work. It's called March Madness for a reason, man. It's already crazy enough for that. For NBA teams to actually do that, man, that would defeat the purpose of actually, of winners and losers. That's participation. If they lose the competition part.
Who are the teams on each side? The teams on the 7-8 seeds? Because I'm trying to think. They might be just satisfied. Obviously, you're gonna get LeBron. You're gonna get Giannis. You're gonna get the usual suspects: LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi. But who are the 7, 8, 9 guys where it's this thing could change and maybe one team? Who would get cheated out of it that might deserve to be.
I think that they would just stop and say whoever's the 8th seed right now, that's who we're taking. I don't think they would do anything to try to help those other guys out, those other teams out. So the NBA, I'm reading this article here. It says the NBA is adjusting its rules regarding players' travel during this pandemic. The league has informed its 30 teams that players can begin traveling outside of their home market beginning Monday, with the requirements that they provide their whereabouts, remain at home, and practice social distancing. Now there's another threat for the Knicks, right? Because remember, the Knicks played the Utah Jazz on March 4th. And, of course, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, so on and so forth, they've, tested positive. Christian Wood, the Knicks played the Detroit Pistons just a few days ago, and Christian Wood has tested positive.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, Christian Wood tested positive. So, I'm pretty sure that the Knicks will continue to go through testing. Now, I was watching the news, and people were asking, well, how come the Utah Jazz and these NBA players can get tested, but everybody else in the country is having a hard time getting tested? And here was the explanation that was given, at least as far as the Utah Jazz was concerned. The explanation that was given is that these guys are considered super spreaders, right? So because of who they are and they come in touch with so many people, before they knew they had it, before there was any quarantining or anything like that, they may have had it, and they may have been signing autographs, shaking hands with fans,
That's garbage. That's
all
garbage.
those type of things. And so they're like, basically they're saying, they play different teams, traveling here, there, and all of this and that. So I guess it was Salt Lake City, because they didn't have a lot of people who were, they didn't have as much threat, I guess. They figured as other places, and they had all these tests there. They decided that they were going to test the team, which used up 50% of the tests that they had. Right? They had so many tests, they used up 50% of the tests on those players.
They got more money than that. They're special.
Those stars. I'm sorry to cut you off, Isaiah. Those stars only touch so-called. They don't touch fans 24/7. For the most part, outside of the game, we don't know where these guys are. They're usually holed up in some hotel or some place chilling, or calling up some Instagram chick or whatever. The people
so let me
trains. Public transit.
So let me ask you this though, but I get that, but I'm talking about we'll talk about Utah, because Utah was the first team to have to get tested. How many fans do you think Donovan Mitchell shook hands with, signed autographs with before the NBA were like, okay, you guys, you got to keep away?
Probably on an average day, probably like 50 to 100 people, maybe.
On a day?
I don't even think 100. Maybe.
Oh yeah, I'd probably say 50,
20 to 30 at most.
Okay, but think about this though. If he did come in contact with 20 to 30 people a day, let's say he had it for 10 days before he knew about it, and he came into contact with 20 people for 10 days, that's 200 people that he put out into the community.
Yeah, but Sim, if I'm a normal person, I'm going to come in contact. I'm going to be, in terms of spreading it around, if I'm on the train, say I have it, I'm on the train, I'm sitting next to somebody, I'm touching stuff, I go to work, I go and eat, I'm going to more public places.
But you're talking about on a train. Salt Lake City doesn't have trains.
No. What I'm trying to do, Sim, is I'm trying. When they say they only give it now, if it's just Salt Lake City, that's one. But they're only giving it seems to stars, right? They're only testing like stars and rich people, because there was a guy who said that he had symptoms. Was in San Fran, and it's like they said, well, we're not going to give you the test. Just stay home and quarantine yourself or something like that. So the common folk ain't getting the test. It's a lot of the Tom Hanks, the rich people. So I'm talking about rich people in general.
But Tom Hanks didn't get the test here in America. He got the test in Australia.
Right.
He got it in Australia. So they were talking specifically about the Utah Jazz. How are the Utah Jazz getting tested? Right? Why are they getting tested before anyone else? You know.
You think that they're more so probably this? So people in Utah, you think that the commoner person goes to like the mall, Salt Lake City, right? They're going to the mall, they're going to the shops to buy food or whatever. They don't come into more contact directly, indirectly than NBA players.
It's like this though, because you've got to be within a certain proximity of a person to be able to spread it, right? Mm-hmm. You probably aren't coming into that proximity with so many different people every day. You come into that proximity with the same few people probably, right? Instead of coming into proximity with, in a week, you're coming into that proximity with 100, 200, 300 people, or maybe more. Hard to say. But there's supposed to be 5 million tests going out, so, or however many million tests going out. So we'll see. One last thing, though, before we finish this off. There's one last thing to add to this crazy New York Knicks season. The Big Three goes after James Dolan.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. The Big Three goes after James Dolan.
So funny.
Listen, man. Listen.
Don't, oh, come on, Ice Cube. Don't do this, Ice Cube.
I mean,
come on.
Listen.
They need any publicity. They need any publicity. So they'll do. Like I said, there's a concerted effort to get. And people try to make it seem like I support James Dolan. I want him out. He is garbage. But the way you do it is not through lying on his name or saying he did this and that. Big Three, Ice Cube. I mean, look, I watch the Big Three from time to time. It's kind of, it's kind of cool to just watch some of these older players get runs and stuff. But again, they need ratings any way possible. So now they go after James Dolan, Mr. Ice Cube, Mr. All these, bow down before you come to my town, all that stuff. I find it so amazing that they're out there on the West Coast. I never heard Ice Cube talk about, Golden State Warriors, man, it's messed up how y'all fired Mark Jackson, a black man, all that sort of stuff, Mr. Khalid Muhammad. But, he didn't say anything, but now you come after James Dolan, who again.
So check it out. So this is what it is. I'm going to read it to you. So you guys can hear the, this is the ad that was put out. All right, and I don't know if you can see it. If you're looking at it, but this is the ad. At the top, it says, "It's a plantation over there."
Oh, what?
Charles
Oakley. It says, seriously, look.
I don't need to read the rest of it. That's garbage.
Garbage. It says, "It's a plantation over there." right? And then it says Charles Oakley, shows who said it. Then it says, if you want to arrest me like Oakley, go ahead. Then it shows Spike Lee. And then it has a picture of Spike Lee and Charles Oakley. And it says the big three, players are not property. The fans are our guests. June 27th. And it says 12 teams, 6 games, 1 affordable ticket. New York's best venue. Where's that? The Billie Jean King National Tennis Center. Tickets on sale now.
$9.99.
Like,
Sim, you know what,
yo,
Sim?
that's
I'm gonna say this.
come on, man.
Sorry.
I'm gonna say this, Sim. I'm gonna hope and pray Ice Cube had nothing to do with that, because
it's his league.
Oh man, that is just Gamble. You could go, because that's just that's so cringe.
This is what I want to say real quick about this tomfoolery. If a white owner of a league put up all those quotes, right? Plantation, put up "Don't arrest me." By the way, Spike Lee using the "arrest me" thing. It's funny how that's okay. For some reason, it's cool to be arrested. I don't know when it became cool to be arrested as a black guy. Like, arrest me, like there are a bunch of black guys who've been wrongfully killed under those situations, but you use it so frivolously. And now you have Spike Lee, who's now not Spike Lee, Ice Cube, who's marketing his league off of two knuckleheads using real life situations for their own attention. If this was a white guy doing that, then you would have seen the NAACP and all these other people coming out saying, how could you market black people's pain and that stuff? But it's okay because Ice Cube is doing it again. I come after these people who use pain to sell stuff. This is wrong.
Yo, it shouldn't be okay. This is very wrong, in my opinion. It is very wrong. So this is the article says, right? In an aggressive attempt to promote its June 27th outdoor festival at Flushing Meadows, the Big Three, 3-on-3 Professional Basketball League appeared to brand Dolan as having racial animus in a full-page ad that ran in Friday's Post. All right. The Big Three advertisement contains at the top, well, we just said it, a quote from Charles Oakley. It's a plantation over there. And then another quote from Spike Lee. If you want to arrest me like Oakley, go ahead. All right, and then, it goes ahead and it explains it.
Oh, my God.
It says, the advertisement comes at a time when Dolan has agreed to compensate garden workers for this week's missed Big East tournament games and future Knicks and Rangers games. Okay? And that was something that I was going to bring up, but this is the perfect time to bring it up. James Dolan hasn't put this out. And I know James Dolan has done a lot of stuff that we don't like. Right? But he hasn't put this out. He didn't go out and do a press conference to say, yeah, this is what we're going to do for our employees. He just did it. And other people, I've been on Twitter all day seeing it. People asking, say, James Dolan, go ahead and put it out like other people are putting it out so that you can get so that people can congratulate you. But he's not doing that. Right? James Dolan has agreed to compensate garden workers for this week's Miss Big East tournament games and for future Knicks and Rangers games. All right.
I wonder if they're all white people. I wonder if they're all white people that he's paying.
No, have you been to the Garden, bro? They're all. Come on. No, seriously. No, let's be for real. No, let's be for real. If you're at the Garden, it's people of all different race and colors, man. We've already taken immediate action this week, and we are working on a longer-term plan in regard to games and different types of entertainment being missed at the Garden. Okay. At the beginning of the season, the Knicks' top 5 front office personnel, as well as their head coach, were black. Now they're talking about the ad, right? Listen, hold up. Listen.
He's racist. This is crazy,
listen. The Big Three is staging a 12-team, 6-game event at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center. The games will be played at the Louis Armstrong Stadium. Okay, it says we are not the promoter of the event, and we were unaware of this ad. This is the person at the USTA, the person who runs the tennis center. We will discuss the future positioning of this event with the promoter An industry source said there have been no plans to cancel as of yet because of the global health crisis. Big Three organizers declined to comment on the advertisement and its backstory. And then it goes on to talk about, Charles Oakley and Spike Lee when they made their comments.
Hey, Sim,
did Ice Cube have something to do with it?
You said if what? Who?
I don't know. It doesn't really say anything about. It doesn't mention Ice Cube much in the article. At the end it says Ice Cube, the Big Three co-founder, announced in January the league no longer wants to be seen as a haven for retired NBA players. Blah blah blah. So it doesn't really mention that. But to put that in an ad, it's not really making a statement. Right? It's not making a statement. You're not doing anything about it. Like I said, when we were talking about it on the front stoop, do something about it. If this is an issue, if this is really an issue, don't just go on a radio station and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Do something. Do something about it. If you really think it's an issue, don't just say something about it. Do something about it. And this is just using real pain to promote your league. That's garbage. That's garbage, man.
I agree.
Hey, Sam. This is a perfect example of you burning your bridges before they even formed. Like, why would you allow this to go? If you're the Big Three and you're trying to get bigger and better, why would you burn a bridge with MSG and do this? And now you can't use their venue. Do you think they're gonna let you rent out that garden if you wanted to take it to the next level with your league to host to have an arena full of people? Now you're never gonna get that. You're never gonna be in the garden. So you're burning your bridges and you're doing the ultimate reach of calling out the racist call. Listen, people, all right. People want James Dolan out of here, right? Which I understand people do. But listen, don't pray for rain and then be mad about the mud. Let's say we got James Dolan out of here. Who in their right mind can say that he's going to be better than James Dolan? And I'm not saying, if we do get a next owner, it's going to be somebody amazing. It could be, but there could also be a possibility that it could be somebody that's not good. So people just here with all this crap with James Dolan about this. I mean, talk about, Sam, talk about the Tyson Chandlers, the Amari Stoudemire, the Carmelo Anthonys, the players that actually like James Dolan, that say good things about him. I mean, how many times have we heard that he let Tyson Chandler, whose mother was sick, I think she died or something, used to let him use a private jet to go. No one talks about that. No one talks about James Dolan, paying for the funeral.
Well, this is how you know that it's probably a concerted effort, Isaiah, because I haven't seen any of these guys put on Instagram. Look, I'm not a fan of James Dolan, but if someone does good by you, bro, and people are unfairly bashing the person, look, if the person didn't sexually harass somebody, don't call him a sexual harasser. If someone didn't rob somebody, don't call him a thief. You know what I mean? And you got these guys, and I've seen these NBA players when Trump says something, but it's like, all right, so James Dolan did good by you, Tyson Chandler. He did you a solid. You know what I mean? I don't hear anybody talking about, this dude paid for David Stern's funeral. But I don't hear no one coming to this dude. Hey, so to me, it just seems like there's a concerted effort to get this guy out. Now you got the Big Three coming, and like I said, Mr. Khalid Muhammad, you didn't say nothing about any of the other things that have happened in the NBA where you could talk about race or black people being treated oddly, whatever. I ain't hear nobody talk about Craig Hodges. I ain't no talk about Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. But now y'all want to talk about James Dolan? And first of all, y'all didn't talk about Donald Sterling when everybody and their mother. I remember Bomani Jones wrote articles about Donald Sterling being racist. And then the NBA kept that under wraps. No one talked about this dude until that so-called phone call happened because they want to set up so that Steve Ballmer takes over. But no one. But now y'all want to come after James Dolan on some, and you using black people's pain. Y'all rapped up. Didn't you rap about this, Ice Cube? Didn't you make movies about how brutal that stuff is? Getting arrested by police, getting mistreated by police. You did a thing called Boys in the Hood. You had an infamous scene with a racist black cop.
This is just like, I mean, this is obviously, you know, the Big Three didn't break any laws, but this is just like Jussie Smollett. How about you say his name? Whatever. The same thing. Smollett. Whatever, right? It's the same thing, though. Like what he did in Chicago. It's the same exact thing, except the Big Three just didn't break laws, but it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? He used a real life, what would be a crisis for somebody, as a way to promote himself. And this is what the Big Three did. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I see somebody in here in the chat that say, oh, he didn't use his words. He used, you know, Charles Oakley's words and he used Spike Lee's words. You know what? Okay. He used their words. It doesn't matter if he used their words. Once he put it on that advertisement, you know what I'm saying? It basically became his words too.
And you're marketing, but you use the words, but the context behind those words is what matters. You're using the context behind those words, and the context behind those words are grave. Hey, arrest me. Arrest me like you did Oakley. Talking about two black men talking about getting arrested. Plantation. Do you understand? Right. Not you, whoever comments, but the context behind the plantation. You know what I mean? So you're using a context which is pretty serious and pretty grave. If someone said, "Yeah, put me in a camp like the Jewish people," or something like that, right? You're not caring about the words per se. You're caring about the context behind it, and that's a grave context. Yep. So what they did is wrong. And again, if this was anybody else, if there's some corny, a white rapper who said this, people be throwing their arms at it. But when it's our own who misuse real events to push their fame and their so-called pleasure or whatever, going to Knicks games, we don't bat our eye on it, man. This is foul, bro. It's foul. I don't care what no one says it's foul. There's real people out there. There's someone out there tonight who probably got arrested by a cop whose life was in danger. Now their whole life outlook might be changed by it.
Exactly.
And they're not thinking about a Knicks game. You know what I mean?
And they wasn't worried about that they can't go through a VIP entrance. You know what I'm saying? That's not the reason why they got arrested or thrown on the ground or hit with a billy club. You know what I'm saying? Or shot because they couldn't go into a VIP entrance. That's not the reason. Real racism is the reason that happened to them. Not this buffoonery that Spike Lee and Charles Oakley and the Big Three are doing.
I would love to be harassed by being told to go through a VIP entrance. And
right. Come on, man. It's crazy,
I would
man.
pay for that any day of the week, bro.
Yeah. It's also very tacky. And when I look at that ad, it screams to me like this was an ad that was thought of in the inception at the very beginning stage of the Big Three. Like, I'm pretty sure Ice Cube thought about the Big Three and was like, we want to allow players after they're done playing for the NBA to like have more ownership, more say, or more like empowerment over their career post NBA. So I'm pretty sure, like, to me, this ad seems like it's been like this ad was created, but it was waiting for a moment. It was waiting for an Oakley moment. It was waiting for a Spike Lee moment in order for this ad to be created. Like, players are not our property. Like, to me, it sounds like Ice Cube had that philosophy in mind at the beginning of this whole thing. And now we see years later, they finally found an example to run with. So it's tacky.
Hey, so can I say something, man? With NBA players, because you hear this kind of crap from like LeBron, and I like LeBron, but sometimes he spits this crap of like, these players are, sometimes we slaves, man. We just, these are our owners. I'm like, brother. First and foremost, most of these athletes, a lot of these athletes, I'm not gonna say all of them, but a lot of them, especially in basketball, if you're a superstar player, you never had a regular job. Think about that. You never had a regular job. Like, so for example, right? My cousins, they're really good football players. Really good football players. They get the newest phones. They get car. You know, they get handed stuff, Sim, because you want to know why? Because they're the athletes. You get to coast through school. You don't really go to school. You do general stuff, and the people do your grades for you. You literally, from when you're 13 or 12 or whenever they start recruiting you or younger, you don't have a job. People buy you stuff. People give you money, and then you get to go to the NBA. Now, granted, I mean, usually poor sometimes. Some of them are poor, but at the end of the day, you still get treated better than people. You still, again, you never had a job. And then when you're 18 or 19, now you get to go to the NBA and get to become a millionaire. So a lot of these people are spoiled. Their reality is so distorted. Again, we're really talking about Spike Lee, a millionaire. He might be broke, but we're talking about Spike Lee,
that man ain't broke.
Who's arguing about going through a VIP section. Sim, does that not sound? Sim, I mean, we got little kids dying and hungry, and we're talking about a VIP section. This sounds crazy to me, and it's just like, again, man. You know what's funny? And Gilmore's gonna like this one, right? All these players are so woke, right? What happened with China? All these woke people. Oh man, quoting Malcolm X, and we got to stand together. The honorable, you know, what happened with China? The only person who had the balls to say something was Daryl Morey.
The white dude.
The white, exactly, Gil, the white dude. Daryl Morey was the only person to say something about China. And you have LeBron, you had Adam Silver, you had Stephen A. Smith, you had every player, every person associated with the NBA who's quote unquote woke, that's quote unquote for equal rights, shut up because it was about the money. So all these dudes is clowns. All these dudes are all run by money. And they don't care. So when it comes down to it, they don't care about equal rights. They don't care.
I mean,
the only color they do. Let me not say they don't care. They do care, but remember this: the main color is green.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But you know, getting back to the big three, you know what I mean? I cannot stand it when somebody uses something that's real in real life. And put it on something that's insignificant in real life.
Extremely insignificant.
You know what I'm saying? Like use a real life, painful situation and use it to promote something that is for the most part, not for the most part, is actually just insignificant, man. It's crazy, but
it burns my bridges, man, because like my father, he grew up in the South, Sim. Like he grew up in the South, you know what I'm saying? And like he grew up in the 40s and the 50s, and that stuff kind of that really grinds my gears, man. Because my grandmother, she grew up in the South, and she was a black woman at that time, so she could get raped, in which there was occasions where it almost happened, and nobody would care. And for you to even like try to spit this privilege, man, and spit that this is a plantation, stop it, man. Because this the type of crap that gets me mad, man. Like this is where my family come from the South, man, where it's like. You a grown man and a little kid, a little white boy can call you a boy. That's racism.
Yeah. Well, we not. We get into it.
It's not the fun stoop. I know. I'm sorry.
Getting too much into it. All right, getting too much into it. Anyway,
that's about to fight somebody. You about to fight Carmelo. You ready to fight somebody?
I mean, that's about it, man. I mean, but look. The Knicks season. You talk about the craziest season ever, man. This might be the craziest season that the Knicks have ever had. There's so much stuff going on, and maybe it's because with social media and all of that, everything that happens can get right in the news, and we know about it instantly. And I'm pretty sure there's things that we glossed over. James Dolan kicked people out of the Garden on several occasions. Over the season. So it's been
them kids was corny, Sam. Them kids was corny.
Still, it's been a super wild season for the New York Knicks. As Isaiah don't want to show us, but I can hear him opening up food in the background. He don't want to show us though. You know what I mean? That's why I had to mute him. But it's been a wild season, crazy season, probably the craziest season ever. Has to be the craziest season ever. Didn't I tell you he was opening up food? I ain't even see him, but I knew he was opening up food. Anyway, I'm going to get up out of here, man. I do want to remind everybody that on Wednesday, two things. On Wednesday, I'm going to be, we're going to take a look back at the New York Knicks versus the Boston Celtics. Game 5 of the 1990 NBA playoffs. All right, that's going to be real fun. We're going to take a look back. We'll look at some clips and talk about it. Some of you guys may not have been alive or been around when that game was played or anything like that, but it'll be fun. All right, so I'm putting the link in the chat. Make sure you go on to that link and set your reminders, man. Make sure you go on that link and set your reminders. It's going to be fun. The Knicks played the Celtics. The Knicks came back from a 2-0 deficit. They were down 2-0 in that series. They came back and they won the series. All right, so make sure you join in as we, look at it and talk about it and, have a good time with it. You know what I mean? Tomorrow, I'll be doing Knicks Weekly on Sportscaster, so make sure you join me on Knicks Weekly on Sportscaster. All right, and I'll continue to come on throughout. No Knicks basketball, so I'll continue to come on throughout the week. I'll set up a schedule and let you know what that schedule is. All right, and one last thing before I get out of here. If we just started getting deep in the weeds on the discussion, you know what I mean, and we had to get out of it because it's not the place for it. But the place for it is on the front stoop. If you like having discussions like that, make sure you join me on the front stoop, man. The front stoop, hip hop, society, and life, and we talk about all that kind of stuff. Plus, we review music and all kinds of stuff. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right, I just put the link in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to that channel too. All right, join us on the front stoop when we have them. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a chance, man. 30 seconds. Give me some last words, and then I'm out of here. All right, Guillermo, I'll start with you.
Yeah, great show, man. Don't have much to really comment. Hopefully things get better. We get back to the season, man. Just hoping for, people to be safe and be clean, hopefully everything gets better. Hopefully it's just more of a pandemic of panic versus a real pandemic of viral proportions or whatever, epic proportions of the virus. So salute to you, man. Stay healthy, stay fresh, all that good stuff, and see you here in the next stream.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Peace, y'all. Peace.
Isaiah, you up next?
Yeah, I'm super proud of myself. I didn't fall asleep tonight. Proud of myself. First and foremost, you know what I'm really happy about, man? I'm happy about the front stoop getting some more views, man. I was excited about that, man. Please, everybody, just support the front stoop, man. Like the conversation that we was having towards the end, that's what happens during the front stoop. Again, I'm really proud of the views that it got last time. I got some good, decent views, man. Let's keep it going. Let's go to the front stoop and we talk about basketball, but the discussion over there, man, they're so powerful and so real, man, and so authentic, man. It's like you arguing, but you at the end of the day, you're with your brothers and you just, you're having a good, it's literally you at the front stoop, hence the name. But yeah, man, I'll see you tomorrow. We're streaming tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'll be on Sportscaster tomorrow doing Knicks Weekly, so. I'll drop like a little short video to tell people to go over there. Yeah.
All right, man. So I'll see you tomorrow, man. All right, see you later weekend.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, have a good one, man.
All right, Kevon. Go ahead, man. It's on you.
All right. Yeah. Peace chat, man. Everybody stay safe. Check on your loved ones. I see a lot of really good information going around. Knock on somebody's door. If you have any elderly people in your community, check on them. I know a lot of people are afraid to just go outside right now. So check on them, ask them if they need some groceries, if they need a hand with anything. Just try to be some support and some love for people. It's been a crazy season. Sim, you know this. You just made we just talked about it for 2 hours. It's been a wild season. I just hope we continue to build with the youth because we got some good youth. I hope we continue to build with that movement. That's all I got to say. I'm not trying to see us sell everybody off for the next Carmelo, sell out that young core. So that's my one wish. Just keep building with the youth. Peace, chat.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, man. Have a good one. And be safe out there, man. Without a doubt,
Absolutely.
Be safe. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm up out of here. Appreciate you guys for being here with me. Like I said, in the chat, you see I just put a link up for the Knicks versus Celtics, Game 5, 1990 playoffs. We're going to take a look back at that. That's Wednesday at 8 p.m. I also put in the chat, a link for the front stoop, so make sure you join it. I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. Been a fun show. I didn't know it was going to be almost 3.5 hours, but it's been a fun show. We had a lot to take a look back at, I guess. So much happening with the Knicks this season. I might try to break it down a little bit. Once this becomes a full video, I might break it down so people can check it out in chunks. Anyway, I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Be peaceful. All right, be safe. Take care of your loved ones. Wash your hands, 20 seconds. All right, 20 seconds washing your hands. Make sure that they're clean. All right, don't touch your face too much. All of that. You already know. You get a lot of stuff from the CDC and all that. I'm out, ladies and gentlemen. Take care of yourself. And I will catch you tomorrow night on Knicks Weekly on Sportscaster. The link is in the description. Peace.
That's the deal.